His name is Matthew Hamburger. Like, what the hell? No. If I read this in a book, I'm like, come on, dude. This is disrespectful. Like, that's not...
You little tater tot bitch. We are 2 minutes and 35 seconds into this video. I'm just as gay as the rest of us, motherfucker.
Just the same. Another sunny day in LA. Everything is fine, so they say. Wonder what the news is.
Remember, he changed his name to like Kekius Maximus or whatever. Unfortunately for him, this happened, so he couldn't keep his account as Kekius Maximus. And he had to change it back to Elon Musk immediately to do PR. What happened? Right to privacy folks who own Teslas must be thrilled to learn that Elon records footage of them at every charge up. Apparently, he also has the digital keys to all the vehicles in case any corpses need to be removed. The sheriff said Tesla CEO Elon Musk helped the investigation by having the truck unlocked after it auto-locked in the blast and giving investigators... Yeah, I think it's pretty funny for... like, obviously, it's not necessarily like a bad thing that... Like, there is some sort of, like, fail-safe. But it is funny that it auto-locked during the blast. Elon was like, it's the worst car to kill yourself in. Or it's the worst car to do a suicide attack in. It is the best car to kill yourself in, though. It'll kill you even if you don't want to die, actually. It will auto-lock you. Teslas auto-lock when they're on fire. Perfect vehicle for a terror attack here. Okay, chill. Auto lock in case of fire to protect the fire from getting out. Yeah. Yeah, because if you're on fire inside of a car and you unlock the door and you get out, then you can spread the fire technically. It's a smart move from Elon Musk. The smart move from Elon Musk also is that it's better if the person just dies in this fire rather than survives and then ends up suing the manufacturer, you know?
Attack. Cybertruck actually contained the explosion and directed the blast upward. Not even the glass doors of the lobby were broken.
And so now authorities are looking into several parallels between this incident and the attack in New Orleans. Besides,
yeah, his name change thing was very funny. A story in 4 parts. Kekius Maximus. Imagine you're a journalist. You're writing about Elon on X, and it goes, Elon Musk, aka Kekius Maximus on X, crying, laughing emoji. Elon Musk quote retweets it and says, this will be priceless. And then this happens, and Elon Musk immediately changes his profile picture and name. Turns out it's not priceless. Turns out maybe it's necessary. What happened? I thought it was going to be priceless when Kekius Maximus was talking about, you know, how Cybertruck is the worst car to do a terrorism in. Is he laughing at his own joke again? I mean, you got to do that sometimes when no one else is laughing. You got to train your audience to laugh. Oh, this was also funny as well. Marcus Brownlee sells his Tesla Cybertruck. Elon unfollows him. This was before the explosion, by the way. Yeah. Okay. We got another base Bill Burr take. Okay, we'll look at that in a little bit. You are not allowed to sell your you're not allowed to sell your Tesla. You're never allowed to sell it. You have to sit on it.
It's a timing on New Year's Day. Both involved trucks that were rented from the Turo app, and both did involve U.S.-born military service members who served in Afghanistan around the same time.
Officials in Vegas talking now about the Cybertruck attack there at the Trump Hotel. Let's listen in.
As many of you went to sleep last night, and I just want to give you an update on a lot of what it is that we found through the processing of the Cybertruck. This is a joint investigation involving the FBI, the ATF, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, and these folks worked through the night and found a lot of stuff that is very useful for this investigation. As you look at this Cybertruck here, we had to transport this down to our fleet services so that we could really get through this thing. And I remind you that the subject inside wasn't able to be removed for a very long period of time because he was burnt beyond recognition. And so as we continue to move through this, I'm going to talk a little bit about his identity and what we believe, but I would like to highlight a couple of things that the teams found inside of the Cybertruck that are useful to the investigation. And that, first and foremost, is a military identification. We also found a passport. We found a Desert Eagle 50 caliber semi-automatic pistol. And if you'll notice on a lot of these guns that we're going to talk about here, they're almost just burnt beyond recognition as well. There's a SLR model B30 semi-automatic firearm, number of fireworks that were still in the vehicle that had to be removed. Notably, we found an iPhone.
Yeah, I mean, the man suspected of being behind the Tesla Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas was a big supporter of Donald Trump and voted for him in November. Dude, I don't know what is going on in the United States of America. I'm willing to, I mean, this in and of itself reads very weird. It reads very strange. Okay? This story is weird. It's like, I don't know anymore. I don't know if it's like a psyop or what. I don't know if it's a psyop or if people are just unwell. Like it's a very, very weird story. Okay. Maybe an accident. Gonna be real funny if this guy was just a hog who had tons of fireworks to celebrate and just blew up by accident. But I got, dude, I'm not going to lie. I got nothing. I just don't know. I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know what is happening. I feel like people are unwell. So it's difficult to ascertain whether or not this is a byproduct of people that are unwell, or if it's, I don't know, the State Department activating a sleeper cell in the wrong time or something. I don't know. But I also feel like one of those like Trump supporters who always is like after every mass violence incident, like after every mass shooting, they're like, oh, this is a psyop. To do what? I don't know. You know what I mean? If you were to come at me and ask me, okay, what's the psyop? I have no answer for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is happening? What is going on? Like the ISIS one makes kind of sense from a psyop angle, right? It's like instilling fear about ISIS, but ISIS also doesn't make sense. Like it would be better if you were going to do if I'm the government and I want to manufacture consent and instill fear in the heart of Americans, I would probably not hit an ISIS angle. I would hit a Hamas angle. I would be like, oh, this guy was a supporter of Hamas, or this guy was a supporter of like Iran or something. You know what I mean? Or he's a Chinese supporter. He's a supporter of the CCP or something. Like, it doesn't make sense. When you say ISIS, people go, ISIS 2025 doesn't make any sense. His wife was an anti-Trump person in 2016. Wait, are you talking about NOLA guy or Las Vegas? If this guy has a wife and also is a divorced dad, I'm going to lose my mind, because then both of the people are the Vegas guy. So both of the people are possibly former wife guys turned divorced guys, not divorced. NOLA guy was legitimately just an insane psychopath. This one seems most likely like a dumb accident. FBI are in Colorado Springs investigating a lead into the Cybertruck explosion. Dude, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand what is going on. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be very, very honest with you. This stuff is just like, I don't know. I'm at a loss. For words here. Like even Matthew Thomas Crooks being a registered Republican and then shooting at Donald Trump because he was like, I'll kill any president that comes into my neighborhood. I don't even care. Like, looking at his background, looking at his profile, looking at his like political ideology and trying to figure out what was going on. It just kind of reads as a guy who was a loser and wanted glory for himself and thought, if I shoot at any president that comes into Pennsylvania, into my quiet suburb, I'll get it. Instead of doing a mass shooting, I'm just going to do this instead. So that part, albeit crazy for any other country, makes a lot of sense for America, because gun violence is a constant part of our lives. But then you have NATO guy Ryan Ruth, who is also a former Trump voter, who bricked his brain and also was spending a lot of time, it seems, around Fort Bragg. Okay? Partially because he had 1,000 combat-ready Afghan troops that were NATO trained, ready to go, ready to operate in Ukraine. That was his thing. Ukraine was his big thing. He was a Ukraine guy. Okay? That's weird. That's a weird situation. Okay? Now you have 2 other vets that have also spent time at Fort Bragg. 2 other vets in 2 separate parts of the country. Don't dead name Fort Liberty. Okay, stop. 2 other, 1 active duty service member, 1 veteran, both spent time at Fort Bragg, both went to Afghanistan. Don't know if the other vet is, don't know if the NOLA guy was also, don't know if the NOLA guy was also a Trump voter, but like, they both use Turo to rent cars. They're both electric vehicles. Like, I don't know what's happening. It's weird. Bizarre, but NOLA guy is the one who filed for divorce, not his wife. I read through the divorce records yesterday. Wife accused him of abuse and cheating. That's all the tea. Why doesn't it make sense? Why is it hard for you to believe these guys did it in their own? It's not the first time someone or a group of people were radicalized and did an attack and pledged allegiance to ISIS. You sound like a MAGA hog. What is an acceptable reason for you? I mean, I don't think you need to be like a MAGA hog to look at a situation like this and go, it's a little odd that the first day of the new year led to 2 veterans popping off in very different ways in different parts of the country. You know? I think it's weird if you assume they're connected via their divorces. No, I don't think they're connected via their divorces. The guy is not even divorced. This guy is not even divorced. I'm saying that, like, there is a point of radicalization for both of these people, most likely, if this guy also, if this wasn't an accident, because we still don't know exactly what happened here. We don't know what the motive is. We just know the person's background. And it's weird. The background is weird, especially because he's still an active duty guy. The other guy, the NOLA guy, was also a normal dude, which is crazy. Like, he was a very normal dude. He had a life. He had a wife. He had children, I think. Like, he had a career. And people say, I mean, the media has been covering his background saying, like, well, he was $30,000 in debt. which is a lot of money to be in debt, but also the average American student coming right out of college has more debt than that. You know what I mean? So that also doesn't make a lot of sense either. Like, what American doesn't have a tremendous bounty? What American does not have a tremendous amount of debt that they have to pay off? It's just, it's weird. It's a weird situation.
And a smartwatch, and then several credit cards were also in the name of our subject. Our subject is 37-year-old Matthew Livelsberger. He's of Colorado Springs, Colorado, born July 22nd of 1987. Now, as you'll see here on a picture of his driver's license, let's see, the question really still remains for me, and I know that there's a lot of you folks in the media that are identifying this person as the person in our vehicle. As I mentioned to you already, his body is burnt beyond recognition, and I do still not have confirmation.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that his name is Life is Burger, okay? This is like, I'm done. I can't even. Dude, come on. Life is Burger? Life is Burger? Life is Gun? Gun and Burger? Gun Burger? Is this a joke? Are you joking? We're not a serious country, man. We are a deeply unserious nation.
100% that is the individual that was inside of our vehicle. And so as I'm calling it now...
I'm sorry, that's a J.K. Rowling style naming, okay? Oh yeah, here we have an American character. His name is Matthew Lifesburger. His name is Matthew Hamburger. Like, what the hell? No. If I read this in a book, I'm like, come on, dude, this is disrespectful. Like, that's not really like you think, oh, American guy. His name is Hank Cheeseburger. Okay. Shut up.
The subject or person of interest. I will not come back until I have the confirmation through DNA or medical records that this is indeed, in fact, the subject inside of the vehicle. Now, further complicating this identification of this individual, we also discovered through the coroner's office that the individual had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle. One of the handguns was found at his feet inside of the vehicle. Obviously, in how we're trying to identify him, and I'm feeling comfortable to give you this information, is a tremendous amount of substantial evidence to include he rented the Turo vehicle. There are 2 tattoos, one of which was on the stomach and one of which is on the arm, that we can see bits and pieces of it as in comparison to what.
That's so crazy that he's just like, that's so crazy that he is just so shredded and so burnt that they're just like, they can't even figure out who the dude is yet completely.
It is that we now know he had on his body that has given us a lot of confidence that this is, in fact, the same person, as well as which the clearly obvious, which is the credit cards, the military identification, the passport. And then furthermore, as you'll see here in just a very short period of time, we tracked his movements from Colorado to Las Vegas, and in a number of the photographs that we were able to determine, he was the individual that was driving the vehicle. And also, I'd like to iterate this point to you. We still have only ever seen him in this vehicle, and we're not aware of any other subjects involved in this particular case. Now, I would like to acknowledge a couple of things because I know what's going on in the social media world, and there are a number of things in this case that are similar to the attack in New Orleans. We do know that our subject here served in the military. In fact, he's a current member of the military. Both of the subjects served at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. What we do.
Dude, this is gonna brick people. I mean, it's bricking me, so I get it. It's even bricking my brain. It makes no damn sense, bro. I mean, like, it's just so close to one another at the same time. Like, it's just, I'm sure it's pure happenstance. It's pure. I mean, it's purely coincidental that there are so many like similarities. Like, these people have like crossed paths in the past as well.
Do know about that is it's a very large
It's not. I'm not saying it's connected to one another. For the record, I'm not saying that.
Military base, and we have no record that they served in the same unit or even at the same years at Fort Bragg. Something that continues to remain under investigation. I also know that they both served in Afghanistan in 2009. We don't have any evidence that they were in the same province in Afghanistan, the same location, or the same unit. Again, something else that remains under investigation. And we also know, of course, that they both used the rental company Turo to rent their vehicles.
And they're both EVs. They both use EV trucks. That is, if this person actually, by the way, while we're having this conversation, there are a lot of weird parts about the story with Matthew Hamburger guy, okay? It still could be an accident. Like, they haven't really figured out what's going on. Now there's also evidence that he had a gunshot, like a self-inflicted, potentially gunshot wound. So, like, what does that mean? Like, we don't know if someone did, like, how does he accidentally shoot himself? Okay, there's two options here. One, electrical circuit failure inside of the Tesla. Okay, here, hold on 1 second. Let me put the conspiracy music on. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Matthew Leifesberger arrives at Trump Tower, excited to stay in his favorite president's hotel institution. He's arrived in Las Vegas in a Tesla Cybertruck. He's excited to eat burger at Gordon Ramsay's famous burger institution, also cleverly titled Burger. He's had plans. He's going to put $100 on black. However, he's also brought his weapons with him because Las Vegas, when you go out to Las Vegas, there are a lot of gun ranges that you can go and shoot your gun at. Maybe he's going to hang out with some of his military buddies. He realizes that the fireworks that he brought forth after an electrical circuit failure inside of the Tesla Cybertruck start catching fire. He realizes in that moment that the Tesla Cybertruck has automatically locked him in. Instead of dying to self-immolation, he pulls out his Desert Eagle and kills himself. Or, here's another conspiracy. Matthew Leifesberger gets to Trump Tower, excited for the time off that he has with his buddies. Again, electrical circuit failure, causes the fireworks that he brought with him that he was going to explode, and maybe even the Tannerite, and shoot in the Las Vegas desert, start catching fire. Tesla doors are locked. He's desperately trying to get out of the car, but the car catches fire. In that eruption, the Desert Eagle goes off and actually domes him. There you go. Bro, he had gallons of gas in the back with the fireworks. No way it was an accident. Or, okay. Green Beret Matthew Life is Burger. Famous for conducting dark money shadow operations and special operations all around the world. Fucks over the wrong cartel boss. So the cartel boss kills him, dumps him in the car. They've also figured out how to do Tesla self-driving, Cybertruck self-driving. The Cybertruck self-drives with the dead Matthew Life is Burger in it, and then they detonate it remotely outside of Trump Tower. Okay. Now you're making stuff up? Yeah, I am. Everything that I'm saying is made up. But also, yeah, the fireworks and all the guns and stuff, like you might be thinking is weird to bring to Las Vegas, but there is a valid reason for why he might have brought that. Like he might have genuinely, not saying that this is the case, but he might have genuinely brought all of those fireworks and like gas canisters and everything else and like go out in the desert and shoot stuff. Sounds like you're covering this up. Wait, what? How am I covering it up when I'm even like leaning into conspiracy stuff? I think anytime you are transporting explosive material in a Cybertruck, you're making a dangerous gamble, okay? Also, Seth Harp is a veteran who writes extensively on the Rolling Stones, writing a book on this as well. The Fort Bragg murders. At least 44 Fort Bragg soldiers died stateside in 2020. Several of them were homicides. Families want answers, but the Army isn't giving any. Fort Bragg is a very weird place. Which makes things even a little bit more unique and interesting. Anyway, I got to pee.
As far as his military background, it's been confirmed by DOD that he was indeed in the United States Army. He was also a Green Beret operations sergeant who spent most of his time at Fort Carson, Colorado, and in Germany. He was on approved leave from Germany, where he was serving with the 10th Special Forces Group. He was also previously in the National Guard and the Army Reserve. I'd like to point out to you that through exceptional joint investigative effort, we've gotten to a place where we believe we can show you his route to Las Vegas from Colorado, and Carlos will put up the map there for you. And we know that he rented the Cybertruck in Denver on December 28th. We tracked his movements through the Tesla charging stations to Monument, Colorado on December 30th. On the 31st of December, the truck was charged in Trinidad, Colorado, Las Vegas, New Mexico, and Albuquerque and Gallup, New Mexico. On January 1st, the truck was charged in Holbrook, Flagstaff, and Kingman, Arizona. We last tracked the truck in Kingman at 05:33 yesterday morning. The truck was first spotted in Las Vegas at 7:29 a.m. yesterday. And Carlos will pull up a picture of the truck pulling onto Fashion Show Drive here. And that picture was observed at about 7:34 a.m. We know that he pulled into the Trump Valet, and I believe we have a video of that. You can see the Cybertruck highlighted there.
Wait,
So
what?
through extensive surveillance video, we were able to track him leaving there, and we know that he went to several different places along Las Vegas Boulevard, and he spent some time in a parking lot of a business near Flamingo and Las Vegas Boulevard. We then have a video of the truck pulling back onto Las Vegas Boulevard from the sands. See that there? That's north on the
Yeah, he was a
boulevard
Trump
from
supporter,
Sands
which
at
is not
8:39,
surprising.
where he then immediately heads to the Trump Hotel, pulls into the valet area, and as of course you all know, the explosion occurs within 17 seconds of his arrival at the valet. There's some additional investigative updates that are going to be provided to you by a couple of the other speakers here, the first of which will be our special agent in charge of the FBI local office, Spencer Evans. Spencer?
Good morning. My name is Spencer Evans. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI's Las Vegas division. As the sheriff mentioned, we've been working through the night with our partners, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and other agencies, to gather all the facts and determine a motive to what was initially reported to the FBI as a bombing incident, to which our special agent bomb techs and others responded. Obviously, we're always concerned in these sorts of events to ascertain what the motive is. We understand that's everybody's at the forefront of everyone's thoughts. And so looking into exactly
Why is him being a Trump supporter not surprising? Dude, who isn't a Trump supporter, man? That's why it's not surprising. It's more surprising when someone does something and they're actually like a leftist or whatever, okay? I mean, think about it, dude. Ryan Ruth, former Trump voter. Matthew Thomas Crooks, registered Republican. Like, virtually every mass shooter has been... There was a... Dude, being a Trump supporter or being like overtly right-wing in the act of doing domestic terror is so commonplace. We got a radfem mass shooter. Like that's crazy. Like, we got a female school shooter, man. That happened not that long ago. That happened like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I don't know how long ago, but it's just like think about that. Not radfem, femcel. Even though people disagree with me on that and say, well, she had a boyfriend. She was a Nazi, not a radfem. She was a femcel, sorry. Wait, but also with NATO, super soldier Ryan Ruth is like Trump's basically just filled to the brim with mania and right-wing radicalism. So obviously at a certain point, the following mania will point back to him.
Motivation remains our number one priority. This is why the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force has been brought into play. The Joint Terrorism Task Force, most important part of that acronym is joint. It is done in concert with our partners, which are comprised of more than a dozen investigative agencies here throughout the state of Nevada.
It's not canceled by feminists. I mean, dude, that's every day, okay? She was illiterate, the manifesto. I mean, she was also 14, right?
Working hand in glove, side by side, tirelessly to determine, is there any ongoing threat to the public, to identify the subject, to determine any potential connection to other events going on in the world, most notably in New Orleans, and then obviously to determine if there's anything else that we need to be tracking down. At this time, as the sheriff's pointed out, we feel that the subject has been identified, although not conclusively, waiting for DNA evidence on that front. However, we do feel like we have the subject identified, and at this time there is no information about additional subjects that the FBI is tracking on. Our resources, as I mentioned, that have been deployed in support of this event include Special Agent Bomb Techs, our evidence response team, which is processing crime scenes, side by side with the forensics folks from Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, our investigators, our intelligence analysts, and then outside of the FBI Las Vegas field office, we have investigative leads that are being conducted by FBI field offices, both internationally and domestically as well. As always, when the FBI is involved with any sort of case like this, we ask for help for the public. Anyone with information related to this incident, we encourage you to please call 1-800-CALL-FBI, or you can submit a tip online at tips.fbi.gov. We've already received thousands of tips related to this incident. The challenge that we face moving forward is to separate those that are pertinent and relevant and those that can be verified for those from those that have not. For example, one of the tips that we received just today relates to
People saying stop snitching. No, dude, snitch on this one. I want to know. I want to know what happened. This is not like a Luigi case. I want to know what happened. There's a mystery, okay? I want to know. Do you not want to know? Notice how they're not offering rewards since McDonald's did not get paid? No, the reason why they're not offering rewards is because no CEO died in the process. No, if the valet driver had died, they still would not have offered rewards, okay? Yeah, rewards are for high profile targets, okay? Like a CEO. Like an actual person of value, a person of worth. We, on the other hand, are worthless.
Information alluding to this subject's personal experiences related to his time and activity in the military. Again, that's unverified and uncorroborated, but one of many tips and leads that we will be following.
Yeah, also with Luigi Mangione, we immediately knew what was up. We immediately knew what was up. I like that this person said, yeah, you think you think I am, in the eyes of our institutions, you think I am as valuable and as important as a healthcare CEO, as the CEO of the most profitable healthcare company in America? Y'all are insane. I'm a Twitch streamer, dude. What the hell are you talking about? Take off your horse blinders, dude. I'm the CEO of doing it with your mom. That's the only thing I'm the CEO of. Yeah, but you're my favorite Twitch streamer. Aw, thank you.
FBI Deputy Assistant Director Christopher Rea. I'm from our Counterterrorism Division at headquarters. I'm also joined by Assistant Special Agent.
Okay, now we're back to the NOLA one. NOLA, New Orleans officials update deadly truck attack investigation.
Alethea Duncan from our New Orleans office, who you heard from yesterday. I'm here to discuss not only the latest investigative information we have here in New Orleans, but I'll also let you know about other investigative activities outside of the state. I first, and most importantly, want to send our deepest condolences to the victims of this horrific attack and their loved ones. 14 innocent victims were killed in this senseless attack, and at least 35 are injured. We cannot ease the grief people in this community and across the nation are feeling at this time, but rest assured, we stand with you and in support of you. All the resources, and I'm going to go into that a little bit later, all the resources of the FBI are being focused on tracking down every piece of evidence, every lead, every interview, every potential lead we've got. While I won't be able to answer all your questions today, my goal is to be as forthcoming as possible with you on what we've uncovered so far. First and foremost, let me be very clear about this point. This was an act of terrorism. It was premeditated and an evil act. This was obviously a critical incident, and with that, lots of information and tips.
Yeah, notice how, hey, by the way, notice how nobody is batting an eye at being like, yeah, of course it's an act of terrorism, and of course it's evil. Whereas with the Luigi Mangione case, they had to spend a whole bit of time being like, guys, what is going on? Yeah, because there's a difference between, you know, civilians, random civilians being ruthlessly and senselessly slaughtered by some psychopath. I'm not condoning Luigi Mangione allegedly, okay? The alleged actions of Luigi Mangione. We still don't know if he did it, okay? But, you know, seems like there's a difference there.
Come pouring in from law enforcement, first responders, and the public. We have been aggressive.
Thank you for stating the obvious. We never knew how civilians are important until you said it right now. Wait, what? Are you talking to the FBI guy?
Running down these tips and information. As you all know, that takes time, and we will continue to do so until every lead has been followed through on. This investigation is only a little more than 24 hours old. So I ask you to keep in mind that as I go through some of the specifics later. But at this point, currently, and this is another fact I want to be clear on, we do not assess at this point that anyone else involved in this attack except for Shamsa Din Jabbar, the subject you've already been briefed on. A little bit about what the FBI
it turns out he acted alone.
is doing. So we are surging people and assets to the area from across the region and across the nation. Special agents in multiple field offices across the country have been deployed and are assisting with potential aspects of this investigation and following up on every lead. Additional teams of special agents, professional staff, and victim specialists continue to arrive to provide more investigative power and assistance to the victims and their families. We have also forward deployed a number of our critical incident response.
Also, I'm glad they brought the white guy on instead of the DEI hire black woman, as according to Benny Johnson and many right-wingers. This dude is literally flubbing his words in a spectacular fashion. Way more than the lady did yesterday. I wonder if there will be DEI hire analogies made or inferences made about this guy. I'm just saying.
Group assets, including members of our hostage rescue team, special agent bomb technicians, and crisis management coordinators. In addition, we have deployed more evidence response technicians to continue to process the various scenes that we have. So far, we have received just over 400 tips from the public, and that information is being followed up on both here in New Orleans and across the country. Some of the tips are here in New Orleans, and there are other tips in other states across the country that we are following up on. The FBI team and our law enforcement partners here are also reviewing hundreds of hours of surveillance and other video from both the French Quarter and other locations. As for a timeline, at this point, investigators believe Jabbar picked up the rented F-150 in Houston, Texas on December 30th. He then drove from Houston to New Orleans on the evening of the 31st, and he posted several videos to an online platform proclaiming his support for ISIS. There were 5 videos posted on Jabbar's Facebook account, which are time-stamped beginning at 1:29 a.m. and the last at 3:02 a.m.
Dude, the last second I'm ISIS now take from this dude is also crazy, especially because I want to see these videos so bad. CNN has access to the videos. They uncover the videos as well. And they said that he was like, oh, I first wanted to gather my entire family for a New Year's celebration and assassinate them. And then I just chose to be ISIS instead. It's like what? What does that, how does that happen? Like, what do you mean? You just chose your ISIS all of a sudden. Like, how does that work?
In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote. Additionally, he stated he had joined ISIS before this summer. He also provided a will and testament. FBI.
I feel like we will never get the full story on this guy like so many others. They knew so much about him and knew it immediately. Yeah. It's a very, I mean, it's a super strange story. Like they didn't say he was on the radar or whatever, but I don't know. I just, it doesn't make sense.
And ATF. FBI, we have a couple different scenes at the location. We have released the scene at Bourbon Street. That scene has been released. We also have a scene off of Mandeville address where we're currently searching that scene right now.
Oh yeah, he also said that he learned about joining ISIS in a dream. In a series of videos, the suspect in a deadly New Year's attack in New Orleans discussed planning to kill his family and having dreams that helped inspire him to join ISIS. According to multiple officials briefed on the investigation, Shamsuddin Jabbar, the 42-year-old man who police suspect drove pickup truck into a crowd of revelers on Bourbon Street, killing at least 15 people. I believe the number is 14, according to the bald man. The bald FBI man said the number 14. And injuring dozens more, made the chilling recordings while driving from his home in Texas, Louisiana, authorities believe. Jabbar, a U.S. citizen and Army veteran who served in Afghanistan, made reference in the videos to his divorce and how he had at first planned to gather his family for a celebration with the intention of killing them. Two officials who had been briefed on the recording said, but Jabbar said in the videos that he changed his plans and joined ISIS and referenced several dreams that he had about why he should be joining the terrorist group, according to the officials. Oh, it's 15 because he died as well. Okay. Bald man said 14 innocent deaths. Okay. All right. That makes sense. So the death total is 15 because he died too. Jabbar died too. He was an information agent in the Army? No, I think he was, no, dude, he was IT. He did HR and IT work. Listen, please. Shamsuddin. What? Shamsuddin. Okay. What? Did I say it wrong? Yeah, he went from HR and IT to becoming a property manager, I think. So, longtime Muslim, according to his bro, arrested for alcohol in 2020. No, he's I think he converted to Islam recently, is what people were saying. Not he wasn't Muslim. He wasn't Muslim initially. He had recently converted, is what people are
now.
saying.
FBI and ATF agents have secured that house, and that location is being searched for potential evidence. On New Year's morning, Jabbar opened fire after ramming through a blocked-off area of Bourbon Street, used his truck as a weapon to run over.
It's probably a one-sided relationship with ISIS. ISIS probably didn't process his membership. Okay, you're joking, but like, I mean, what is ISIS? What remains of ISIS at this point? Like low key. But even with the Pulse shooter, the Pulse nightclub shooter, it was like a last ditch. He was also like, oh, I decided I'm ISIS now, right? But at least in that time frame, ISIS was still like a real organization. Didn't the Pulse nightclub shooter say he's ISIS too? Yeah, he pledged allegiance to ISIS. But that's like, again, that's 2016. That's when at least there was like, that is when there was at least like something to point to as far as like ISIS existence.
Over the victims. Teams of specially trained victim specialists, again, as I said, are on the ground.
Yeah, or the San Bernardino shooting as well. Like, what is ISIS now? What the hell?
Orleans, assisting survivors of the attack and loved ones of the deceased. We do not believe the public is in any danger around any of these locations. 3 phones linked to Jabbar have been recovered, and digital media exploitation is a priority to see what is on the devices and determine if there are any other potential leads. Additionally, we have recovered 2 laptops and are currently reviewing them for any potential leads. Those laptops were recovered at the Mandeville address.
Chatter, is this guy your uncle or not? I don't understand. What the heck are you saying? Like, what is happening? Where's that chatter? I lost him. We have Muslim family, so I think he was on and off. Check log. Yes. Listen, please. Wait, what? Very normal. That's my unk, bro. Do you have any questions? Been declining all news people reaching out to me, but I talked to you. Wait, what? It's my uncle. I'm freaking out. He used to be super normal. My name is very Arabic and I'm not even Muslim, but I get the blowback. It is Hassan. It's my uncle. He's a divorced dad. No, there are Muslim family members. He got cut off by a bunch of family. Some fundamentalist Muslim family members. Wait, what? Okay, yeah, I mean, do you want to be on the stream? But I do need to, this is unverifiable. Do not boost this person. Yeah, I mean, I would need you to send some info to at least the mods to verify that it's your uncle. How do you verify this? What do you mean? You can just like, if you can very easily verify it with like a photo or something. I can send you a pic of us privately. Yeah, can you send it to one of the mods? Or any of the mods around? That's crazy. This might not be the play. Hasi government will intervene if true. What are you talking about? Like we'll verify and then what are you saying? ISIS did the Russia attack, 130 plus dead, and then the Soleimani funeral explosions, 100 plus dead in the last year. Man, come on, it's still around. Brother, sister, or the emperor. You understand that, like, ISIS seemingly always is around when it comes to America's foreign adversaries. We're talking about, like, any number. I mean, first of all, ISIS in and of itself is already a State Department invention to begin with. But having said that, at least during its peak, there were lone. Wait, what? This person said, "Great, you're now." Wait, hold on. This is really funny. This person literally said, "Great, now you're platforming terrorist nephews. Ethan's gonna have a field day." Okay, dude, that's insane. I don't know who to send it to. Wait, are none of the mods around right now? I don't think any of the mods are around. Hold on. Oh, I'm here. Okay, can you send it to Anaphase? Is a joke most likely. Actually redirect this chatter to somewhere like Dropsite. They can verify it and get it in print. It's right in their wheelhouse. Okay, reach out to Anaphase, bruh, babe. Or MHUD. Guys, this is not your opportunity to demand to be modded, okay? It's not going to happen. What are the chances is real? Fairly high. But we'll verify first. The chatter's name is Bruh, BRUH, Babe 11. Okay. I think people forget that this is an entire arena, like a massive stadium full of people. So it's not that surprising that there's like at least 1 or 2 degrees of separation. I don't know why people I don't know how people are confused when stuff like this happens. Okay. I guess like whisper to one another or something, or potentially reach out through Discord. I don't know. And then I'll have you on once they verify. Sorry, was having issues. Okay. Yes, one time I was watching the stream and I saw my boss. Yeah. It's because you don't have a stadium reverb on your mic. Fair. Okay. I got you. I block whispers from strangers by sending a whisper to Anaphase. You will allow them to whisper you for 48 hours. You can disable their access again in whisper settings. Message. How do you actually confirm this is not a bad faith phishing attempt to get you into some sort of manufacturer's scandal? I mean, it would have to be an unimaginably sophisticated campaign to be able to do such a thing. And also, why would it get me in trouble? We're literally verifying. Is the process of verifying that easy? Yes. Do you have Discord, bruh, babe? Anyway. You do not. Okay, that's fine. Wait, so you still can't use the Whispers product? I'm confused. All right, let's continue. While
Evidence technicians will also be going over the F-150 truck Jabbar was driving. As you know, we recovered an ISIS flag from the back of the vehicle. Jabbar declared his support for the terrorist group on social media, as I stated before, as he made his way to New Orleans. FBI bomb technicians also recovered 2 IEDs in coolers, one from the cross-section of Bourbon and...
Okay, yeah, email me. Verify your phone number and then whisper Anaphase or me. She says that it's not letting her like verify her phone number or something. It just like keeps asking to verify her phone number. If the chatter follows a mod's channel, then the mod can whisper them. Chatter has whispers disabled. She doesn't have Discord. So my suggestion is to follow Anaphase or Fizz on Twitch, and then you'll be able to, the mods will be able to whisper you.
Orleans Street, and the second at an intersection approximately 2 blocks away. There were multiple reports of other devices. Those reports turned out to be misinformation or not actual functioning devices. Those are the only 2 devices that we've been able to recover that were functional. Both devices were rendered safe on scene. We did obtain surveillance footage showing Jabbar placing the devices where they were found. Two other, as I said before, 2 other items of interest were determined not to be IEDs. A little bit about Jabbar.
Yeah, this is something that I did also call out yesterday before more information came out. That there was a likelihood that like the IEDs were potentially there was a likelihood that they could have been just like fireworks or something.
Jabbar himself was born in the United States and is a U.S. military veteran. We are looking in everything in his life. While we have
No, I don't even think it's a manufacturer consent attempt. I don't even think like thinking that the shooter / driver worked with other people was necessarily a manufacturing consent attempt. I think in the heat of the moment, people actually end up getting things wrong. Part of the reason They just end up getting things wrong. It's normal. It's New Year's Eve. There are obviously like fireworks and things of that nature. There are explosive devices that are going to be around. All fireworks are, at the end of the day, explosive devices. It's you know, it's not. I don't think that they were trying to create this like cynical, sophisticated, you know, manufacturing consent campaign. What? Talking to a person potentially connected with her? Dude, what are you talking about? Do you think that like people's, do you think when you're, okay, chatter, let's say your dad becomes like a psychopath and kills someone and you're like, how would that become a problem for you? Do you think that this is like genetically traced or something? Like a third uncle that you have doing a crime means that you're a criminal? Like, what are you talking about, dude? Is one of the most you're not in any way, shape, or form connected to this at all. You're just offering background information. You're offering background information in regards to the suspect.
Interviewed many people who know Jabbar. We still need to talk to others.
Yeah, like mainstream media interviewed every single one of Luigi Mangioni's like loved ones. And you're over here being like, well, I don't understand. Like,
others. Whether you know Jabbar personally, worked with him, served in the military, or saw him in New Orleans or Texas, we need to talk to you. You may not think you have relevant information, but what you know could tie in to one of our investigative leads. Specifically, we want to talk to anyone who was in the French Quarter on New Year's Eve or early on New Year's Day. That includes people spotted near one of the two IEDs on Bourbon Street. The IED was inside a cooler, and many people stopped and looked at the cooler and then continued on their way. Let's be clear, again, we do not believe at this point these people are involved in this incident in any way. We want to speak to them as witnesses and want to know what they saw and when.
by the way, that is also going to be a problem for them, especially after we saw the images of like random people getting arrested at their houses with the full might of the American military, basically. All of a sudden, it rings hollow when you say, oh, we won't do anything, we promise. Can you give us some information? When clearly they did treat a lot of people. They treated a lot of people like they were straight up involved.
I went down to the crime scene last night. It is very hard to put into words what it looked like and how difficult it was to see. Anyone with information can call us at 1-800-CALL-FBI or send digital tips to fbi.gov/Bourbon Street attack. Early this morning, evidence response teams finished their work at the crime scene. Bourbon Street has been turned over to the city of New Orleans. As you know, there's also an FBI investigation in Las Vegas. We are following up on all potential leads and not ruling everything out. However, at this point, there is no defense.
All right, I believe it. All right, bruh, babe. I'll have you on as on guest star. I'm gonna call you in on guest star right now. Show us? No, I'm not gonna show you. That's crazy. Do you want to be on? You don't want to be on camera, right? So we'll just hear you. I can't even see her in the chat because the chat is going crazy spamming. Hold on. Okay, I just sent you an invite, bruh, babe. I just sent you an invite to guest star. You need to accept it. And then you'll be able to talk. Hello? You're muted, by the way. Can you hear me? Hello? I feel like you're speaking, or at least you're hearing me, it seems, because every time I speak, your sound bubble pops up, which means I can't, you're on, but I can't hear you. Can you guys can't hear her either, right? Maybe their device doesn't have a mic. No, every device has a mic. What are you talking about? Okay. Check the input. Yeah, go chatter. Check your input. Like click on your settings and check your input output. Do you have them muted? No, I don't have them muted. The mic icon, not the speaker icon? What do you mean? My mic is off. But even when I speak, wait, what? Even when my mic is off, when I speak, it sounds like she's speaking. What? That's weird. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know what's going on. Oh, because probably my stream is open? Maybe? Is that the reason? Looks like she's using the line mic input and not her actual mic. Yeah, but even if it's picking up the stream sound, it wouldn't be so immediate. So there would be a delay. I think you have to maybe click on the microphone on the top here, like on the top left corner of your screen, and see if you give it permission. Like you're allowing Twitch to use. Or I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna call you again. But tell me if you are using a phone or a desktop. She's using her onboard sound as input on her microphone. Yeah, it might just be bugged. Let's see. Let's try again. I'm going to call again. I'm on my laptop. Okay, I'm calling again. I might have a privacy thing, potentially. Okay, I sent you another invite. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, you were muted and then you unmuted, but I still can't hear you. Oh, wait, I can hear you now. Hold on, I heard you for a second.
Mute something. Sorry, I hear everything.
Okay, you're low though, but I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Now,
There's a super long delay.
no, because you're probably hearing me from stream. You're not hearing me from. Here's the problem. You're hearing me from the stream. You're not hearing me from the actual. You're not hearing me from the actual, like, guest star feature. So you fixed your microphone,
Alright,
but I
let me
think you need to
mute
change
the
your audio as
stream,
well.
and then I'll listen to the call.
No. Here's what we're gonna do. You just need to. You need to also change your input on your. You need to change your input on your what do you call it? On your audio as well. And then mute the stream. Your output.
Okay.
Your input is working. We can hear you. You need to change your output. And then you'll be able to hear me in real time. Can you hear me? I'm going to keep talking to see if you can hear me eventually while you're changing your input and changing your output.
Yes, I can still hear you. I'm trying to find the settings on my laptop.
But you can't hear me in real time now. No. It's not
Actually,
necessarily.
I'm still listening to the stream. You have
Okay. And it's also
a
not.
thing on the call. I don't know how to unmute you.
Okay. I'm thinking like, I guess you could download Discord as well. And then that would be much easier to do. If you could download in like
I just unmuted.
Oh wait, you did? Okay, perfect. Can you hear me
There
now?
you are. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. There it is. All right. So we have Bruh Babe here. What do you want me to call you? Like not your, if you don't want to reveal your real name, that's fine.
Yeah, just username is fine.
Okay, we have Bruh Babe here. Bruh Babe is the niece of the NOLA attacker, and I wanted to hear a little bit more, whatever you want to reveal about the background of the person who you're related to.
Yes. So, he is the brother of my dad, and my parents actually separated when I was really young. So I'm not super close to that side of the family, but we do share a name. When I would visit in the summers, super normal. Like he was actually like the uncle that I would look forward to seeing.
Wait, hold on. Can you hear me?
For him and my dad and their other brother playing GTA, and he was the only one that would let me play with them. He was goofy, super sweet, and I never knew him to be anyone capable of doing something like this. Yes, GTA.
So the question I have is, we looked at the background of Jabbar extensively on the broadcast yesterday. I think you saw some of our coverage. The LinkedIn profile was revealed. It showed that like he extensively worked in the military. He served in Afghanistan. He toured in Afghanistan. He came back and he was doing IT work, I believe.
Yes.
For the military?
Yes.
Okay.
I knew him to be someone who knew a lot about like computers and kind of a nerd in that way.
Mm-hmm. And he also did some HR work as well.
Yes.
Okay, so is there? But there has got to be a point of diversion. So as far as his like background goes, he was, I believe, divorced once and then got remarried.
Yes.
Okay, so he was divorced once and he got remarried. Does he have kids
Yes.
from the first a wife or the second wife?
First.
Okay, and what is the so from the first wife he had kids. What is the extent of like what is his ethnic background? Because I'm a little confused. Is he like where is he from?
Yeah, that's part of what is kind of confusing about this because he obviously has a very ethnic name. Shamsuddin is what we would call him, and
Yeah.
I
Well,
very ethnic name as well. It's very yeah, and Jabbar, we share that. So does my dad and their other brother. However, I think one of them is actually one of my uncles is like a half brother. And their stepdad was the one who was Muslim. And he's the one who kind of named everyone. So I always um, kind of associated the family with Islam, but like no one practiced it.
okay. Yeah, it seems
Like
like
everyone's super Christian in the family, but we have super Muslim names. But there are some Muslim family members. But like
mhm.
I've never seen anyone with a Quran. No one's ever gone to a mosque or whatever. Um, so the religious aspect of it is a little um, weird for me too, being a frequent victim of Islamophobia. When I'm like, dude, I was raised Catholic. Like, it's just my name. But I'm sure
Yeah.
that's not helping.
So so Shamsuddin was also he was not like he was not you're saying he was not raised Muslim.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, and not only to your knowledge, not only was he most likely not raised Muslim, but also there were some people. I believe that it was. Was he still with his second wife recently, or
I
had
do
he
not
separate?
believe so.
So he had also separated from his second wife. Okay, because his second wife, there were some people that reached out to the second wife, and the second wife's partner said something along the lines of like how he had actually exhibited weird behavior and that he had like recently converted to
Mhm.
Islam.
Yes, so that was probably around the time period where he started acting um, erratic, I guess. But I believe even at that time, it might have been at the very beginning, like when the family's mostly Christian and or agnostic, and then someone starts talking about the Quran, the other family members are kind of like, what the fuck? Um, so I think that might have been the beginning impression of that. Um, like I don't think it was 0 to 100. Um,
Okay.
I also know around this time, me and his daughter, because I don't talk to my dad either, just because he's a narcissist and annoying. But me and Shamsuddin's daughter had actually bonded about not talking to our dads at some point.
That's interesting. So he was also, but that his daughter from his first marriage. He didn't have children from his second marriage, right? Hello?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Sorry,
So
it was buffering. Not that I know of.
okay, so you're talking to your cousin, Shamsuddin's
Mm-hmm.
daughter from his first marriage, and
Mm-hmm.
and she's telling you that her father has started acting differently, acting strange. And this happened. Do you have an exact timeline, if you don't mind me
This was
asking?
probably honestly around 2020, I believe.
Oh, so he started talking, he started behaving differently in 2020. Was there like a pivotal moment in his life in this time frame? Is this like, is this after,
There's,
is this after the first, like, was he married to a second wife at that point?
I believe it was after the second wife had separated.
Oh, okay.
I think your analysis of um, the narrative of him being a divorced dad and having all that stress and the money stress um, is the actual cause of the issues, and then you just needed some sort of like scapegoat, I guess, or some reason to be so drastic.
Yeah. So, I guess the question I have is like, what's interesting about it is that there's videos of Shamsuddin online from his real estate job. I believe as recent as like 2020 or 2021, or at least he has posts on Twitter as recently as 2021, where his social media footprint is not strange at all. It doesn't have
No,
any of
it's
the
not.
markers of like a person on the throes of radicalization. He just looks like a very competent, normal, if not somewhat kind individual, which is unique
Yes.
because when you compare it to like when you compare this to the Christmas market, the Christmas market attack, which was fairly similar to the NOLA attack, that person had extensive an extensive social media footprint. Was a person who was in these right-wing circles. He had demonstrated militancy. He was saying a lot of radical things, but also saying a lot of insane things that weren't even like political in general. Oftentimes he said a lot of radical things in the political sphere, but you know, there was very clearly something wrong with him. Whereas Shamsuddin did not demonstrate any of that, at least on his social media. But you're saying that as early as 2020, there was a little bit of a separation, and there was an attitude change from him after
Can you
the
still hear me?
separation of his second marriage.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you again now.
Okay.
I had a connection error. I still have the
Yeah,
alert thing,
it's
but I
cutting
think
in and
it's
out, but it's
okay.
okay. So you're saying that I'm going to repeat the question. You're saying that there was in spite of the lack of like oddities or weirdness on his social media profiles, he started acting strange, at least with his family, around the time of his separation in his second marriage.
Yes. And I'd clarified of like bonding with me and his daughter over not talking to our dads was kind of more like similar issues, like normal issues, not he was acting so weird and so extreme that he was saying all this outlandish stuff and that's why she wasn't talking to him, but
Oh,
more
okay.
so just my dad's being a dick or he's being annoying, more like that.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
So I think as far as like a point of radicalization, I think that was very recent.
Okay. So it seems like he became more maybe he became more isolated. Do you know when the last time your cousin talked to her dad?
I am not sure.
Okay. When was the last time you talked to him or saw him or heard of him at all?
Well, actually, I don't know if it's revealing too much about myself, but I'm also in real estate. So he kind of helped me with the licensing process and where to go and how to pay your dues and all that sort of stuff. So
When was that, if you don't mind me asking?
around 2020 as well.
Oh, okay. And he
And
didn't
nothing
and he
odd.
and he didn't seem odd at all when you last talked to
Nope,
him.
not at all.
Okay. I mean, 5 years is a very long time for a lot
Yeah.
of things to change, especially because like there's the COVID lockdowns and whatnot and the isolation that came uh, the isolation that happened. A lot of people dramatically changed their lives during that time frame. So that's somewhat understandable. But overall, you're saying that he was, at least when you were growing up, uh, his profile was of a kind man
Very, very much so.
with no indications that he might have. I mean, you're not a healthcare specialist, obviously, so this is not a professional estimation, but no indications like he wasn't. Did he ever talk about like having PTSD or anything like that?
Never. I think the Afghanistan tour has been brought up a few times, but I don't believe he was like combat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even after, yeah, because it was when he came back from that and some time had passed that he got into the real estate and property management stuff.
Did he
Um,
did he ever talk about his experience at Fort Bragg at all, or no?
no,
Okay.
not to me at least.
Um. I hope. I mean, how's your family doing? I know this is a
Um,
weird question to ask, but you know, this is.
I'm I'm doing okay. I obviously had to speak with the FBI earlier. Um, but like I said, my parents separated when I was young, so I'm not super close with that side of the family, but I am close with my grandma, who's his mom,
Mm-hmm.
and his daughters. So it's more my personal pain right now is knowing that they're going through that and they might never, well, they can't even rest, right? Because it's 24/7 news. There's no like getting away from it and processing it on your own. Um, just knowing that they're going through that. And then I also have, as I'm on a live Twitch chat, like security concerns as far as possible like Islamophobic blowback, especially when I don't believe that that was the main component of this attack.
Yeah. Some of the reports on this. Some of the reports on this from CNN, which I'm sure you've probably seen, has shown that he had recorded himself and he had posted on his Facebook. I don't know if you saw those Facebook posts or not. I don't know if you have Facebook still, but it seems that he was posting videos of himself, especially on his way to New Orleans from Texas, where he talked about. I'm sorry to bring this up, and this is a little heavy, but rounding up his family and potentially killing them, but then chose to join the Islamic State, ISIS, and he had also printed out an ISIS flag, which he hung upside down. This is like, was there like I feel like if that was something that was if that was something that was on his mind, it seems like it would be something that he would have at least like not revealed to his family, his immediate family members, but at the very least, like they would have gotten an indication that he was clearly mentally unwell to
Not
that
doing,
degree.
yeah. I think he was sort of
Wait, you're cutting out. Can you hear me? I think there's connection issues. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't hear anything from your answer, but you heard my question, right?
Yes, that you would expect some signs. Um, as far as I know, he could have been self isolating leading up to the event. Um, I would expect my relatives that I do talk to, like my grandma, who's his mom, to tell me of.
Tell you of what? Hello? I lost you again. Can you hear me
Because we
now?
weren't.
Oh yeah. So hold on. Sorry,
Yes.
you got cut out until you said talking
Sorry.
to his mother, your grandmother.
Yes, I would have expected her to clue me in on that because I don't live with them. So he very well could have been showing signs, and I don't think he lived with her. So as he continuously self isolated, it could have gotten worse and worse. But if he was, showing signs of something so grave as that, that I would expect to be told about that.
Yeah. So there was some talks about his trips to Egypt and whatnot. Do you have any idea on that? I mean, or
I
was it just for fun?
I do not have an idea of that. I am inclined to believe that they were just for fun. I think
Yeah.
one anchor said that um, I wouldn't be surprised if his trip to Canada had more influence on him than his trip to Egypt. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm likened to believe the same.
Yeah. So there was that, and then the other question was about financial troubles. At
hmm
what point did his financial troubles start, to the best of your knowledge?
Um, there, it could have been shortly after the first divorce, when like child support became an issue. That's kind
Mm-hmm.
of a trend in the family, unfortunately.
Okay. And then there's like a potential for piling on, and then the second divorce as well.
And I know when he became a real, he was also a property manager, and he was actually reaching out to me to see if I wanted to work with him in some capacity, because he knew I was getting my real estate license. Um, so he was looking into me doing like some sort of administrative stuff and training me to like write articles for like blog posts and stuff. Um, but at that time, which is around 2020, um, I get the impression that he was sort of diving into real estate as an agent, but also as a property manager, while also trying to like have side hustles, like trying a lot of different things at once, and failures from multiple of those could have piled on.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, thank you so much, bro, babe. Is there anything else that
Thank you.
I haven't asked that you wanna bring forward?
No, just that he was, a super normal guy. He was
Yeah.
a super sweet, and like none of us expected this.
Yeah, it seems. I mean, even like I said, his social media profile, or like the information that we saw of him from now deleted, YouTube posts and things of that nature, did not
hmm
show did not show the usual trajectory. Uh, like, but they might have been you know, they might have been a couple years in the past. So at that point, it's just
I
like,
always had the impression of him being from my dad and his siblings. I always had the impression.
wait, can you hear me? Hello? Hello? I lost you again. Can you hear me? Oh, wait, you're back. Okay, I can hear you now. You said I don't what do we leave it at, chat?
Um, I was saying my impression of him
Yeah.
was that he was always like the um, put together one, the one who kind of went for different professional endeavors, always dressed nice, always goofy, always super sweet. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
a little surreal.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much
A lot
for coming on.
Of course.
You know, I hope things look better for you.
We're trying. But thank you.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.
That was Bruh Babe 11, the niece of the NOLA attacker. Shamsuddin Jabbar. And yes, before you ask, we did verify ahead of time. How was it verified that she was related to him? I'm curious and nosy. Sorry. Don't worry about it. What do you mean? She sent us photos of them together. Yeah, immediately as soon as we pull out as soon as we get out of emote only mode, people immediately get annoying. Yeah, family photos. It's crazy to think he'd live down the street for basically from me, 5 minutes away. Yeah. He was not a Trump supporter to my knowledge, by the way. Oh, that's a good. Thank you for that. I forgot to ask that. Yeah, we should just do permanent emote mode only. I tuned in a little late. What did she suspect was the reason he got radicalized, or was he just normal and crashed out suddenly? The suspicion is, again, none of us are professionals, but the suspicion is that it was the financial complications that came from the first divorce with like child payments and whatnot, and then the second separation from his second wife. The second separation from his second wife was like the seemingly trigger point that, like around 2020 when he had his second separation. That's when he started not behaving in like an erratic manner or anything. But basically, it seems like there was a point of isolation. What is this? Greenville Co., South Carolina. Situation unfolding in Greenland Co., South Carolina that closed I-85. Sources tell me it involves an 18-wheeler driver apparently pulled over and stated he has a bomb. Multiple agency incident. That is insane. This is near Whitehorse Road. Update. Exits are blocked and traffic is back for miles. Sources tell me state transport police pulled over the 18-wheeler. That's when he stated he had a bomb. Jesus Christ, dude. What is happening this year? what is going on this year. All right, we're gonna get back to the NOLA attack.
Link between the attack here in New Orleans and the one in Las Vegas.
Just the
and again,
second
I'll
day,
preface,
dude.
as I close, I'll preface everything with what I started with in the beginning, which was this is very early in an investigation like this. Again, our thoughts and prayers are with the victims of this tragedy and everyone impacted across the country. They remain at the heart of our investigation. I also, although I've only been on the ground here a short time, I also want to express a sincere appreciation for our partners here, which include the U.S. Attorney's Office, HSI, ATF, the New Orleans PD, the Louisiana State Police, the Governor's Office, and countless others.
And on our breaking news out of New Orleans now, the FBI says it believes the Army veteran from Texas who intentionally rammed a truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street acted alone. They say 3 phones and 2 laptops linked to the driver have been found, and that FBI bomb technicians recovered 2 improvised explosive devices in the Bourbon Street area. And this is coming as we're getting some new surveillance video of the attack. It shows a harrowing moment here. Just before you see there are people barely getting out of the way of the truck. It's unbelievable, and so thankful that they were able to get out of the way as that truck sped through the French Quarter. CNN anchor Anderson Cooper is live on the scene in New Orleans. Anderson, what more details are you learning at this hour?
Yeah, well, CNN has exclusively obtained actually video of the terror attacker. This I want to show you. This is taken from a doorbell cam of on a street where the attacker, you see there off to the right with the vehicle that he used in the attack. That is him arriving at and entering an Airbnb that he had rented about 2 miles from the Bourbon Street location. Where he, according to law enforcement, conducted this terror attack. That is the vehicle that we know he was rented in Houston. He rented it on December 30th. The FBI said today at a press conference they had several hours ago. He then drove it New Year's Eve, and while driving made about 5 videos in which he spoke to camera, according to the FBI. They recounted a little bit about what he said. He said that he had, they were showing the timeline. He rented the truck, drove it to Houston between 1 and 2 a.m. He's seen now on videos planting explosive devices. 2 explosive devices, according to the FBI, were found about in the area of the French Quarter. That initially they had thought maybe other people had planted. They have confirmed today. They said at this point they believe no one else was involved in the attack here in Bourbon Street on the ground, actually planting those explosives.
If he actually had complicated IEDs, if he had like genuine like improvised explosive devices, I mean that kind of stuff you can kind of figure out on your own, but that also, I think, lends a little bit more credence to the ISIS point, because like you can figure that out on your own as well. But I feel like that is something that I suspect that is something that they give you in the fucking ISIS radicalization manual. You know what I mean? I don't think there's a potential link between the 2 attacks, even though it is weird as fuck. Okay, here is KPRC2 has obtained footage of Shamsuddin Jabbar's home following the deadly attack. Why are they zooming in on the Quran? His home in Northwest Harris County features a book collection which includes texts like the Quran and Bible and works on Islamic finance. We're still living in fucking a Homeland episode, chat. Yes, Islamic finance is a real thing because usury is a sin in Islam. I believe technically usury is a sin even in Christianity too, but I feel like nobody really cares about that. Also, there's zakat too. Yeah, the office style Zoom here is doing a lot of work. Damn, my chicken is light today. They cooked me. Only 13 ounces, 13.5 ounces today. That's crazy. That's crazy. Normally it's supposed to be, yeah, that's a big L I'm taking on the protein intake for lunch. Yesterday was 17 ounces. Brand inflation has hit the chicken. Do you weigh your chicken? Yes, I do.
Of devices, they were both those devices were found and detonated safely. That is a picture of the actual vehicle, and you see it. It's the same vehicle that's in that security camera. This is after the attack. What you're not seeing there is that there's actually a person on the right-hand side, lower right-hand side of the screen, which we're not showing, a person who was injured, and you know, we are still now learning a lot more about those whose lives were lost, about the people who were wounded. 14 people now confirmed dead, as many as 35 sustained injuries. A number of them are still in the hospital. I want to play some of, let you hear from the FBI agent in charge of this operation, some of what they have found from the phones and laptops that they have obtained.
Hundreds of interviews that we've conducted so far, the social media review that we've done of his accounts, by my count now, the 5 devices we have, the 3 cell phones and the 2 laptops, been able to initially triage or go through that, and there is just nothing to indicate through call records, through anything on those devices, through interviews, through anything in our systems that he was aided in this attack by anybody. And again, I have to caveat, like the governor said, this is 24 hours into it, and that could change.
So that was the press conference the FBI gave about 2 hours ago or so. They are still eager for any information that anybody has out there about this person. They are trying to build a timeline of the radicalization of this person, the disintegration of this person. According to family members, he had started to be erratic. And according to the FBI, Brianna, he had pledged allegiance or joined to, if one can actually join in some physical way, ISIS, or at least pledged allegiance earlier before the summer.
And Anderson, what a different scene behind you now. I'm just struck by that. There are so many people. There's just the din of the French Quarter with the reopening.
Yeah, it's interesting. About an hour ago, an hour and a half ago, a first-line band came down the street with city officials playing music. We ran out and watched it. It was actually a very moving scene, this extraordinary band playing music. The officials in the city wanted first to open Bourbon Street to religious leaders. So they've also had a lot of preachers here doing prayer circles. We've seen saying prayers and also music, which obviously is such a key part of New Orleans. Then they closed the street down a little bit. It's all cleaned up. and now they've opened it to the public. And as you see, it's not obviously incredibly crowded, but there are dozens and dozens of people wandering, walking up and down, just wanting to come here. Businesses have opened, bars have opened. There's some music playing in a couple bars down the street. The frozen drinks that are like purple and pink, they are in the slushy machines going around. So it is very important for city officials. I talked to the superintendent of police just a short time ago. We ran into her on the street to get this street back up and running, not from a business standpoint so much as just a statement about this city and the spirit of this city and the desire to have the city not be, on bended knee. This city has gone through so much with Katrina. I was here, it's crazy, Brianna, I was here almost 20 years ago when Bourbon Street first reopened after Hurricane Katrina. I remember it. City officials walked down the street, making it the official opening of it, and I remember the first bar that opened. So it's very strange to be back here 19 years later and see Bourbon Street once again reopening after a tragedy.
Yeah, wanting to come back from a tragedy. And we heard that from people at the Superdome as they're getting ready for the Sugar Bowl. They don't want to let terrorism win here. They're dedicated to showing up for the game as well. Anderson, thank you so much for sharing that with us. We do appreciate it. Live there in the French Quarter.
Give me a call. I'm glad to help anytime, and I'm looking forward to talking to you.
Once drumming up business as an estate agent, now suspected of driving terror through New Orleans with an Islamic State flag on his truck. Shot dead at the scene, 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar is the focus of a massive FBI investigation. A US citizen, born and raised in Texas, Jabbar served in the army from 2007, working in HR and IT and deploying to Afghanistan. He became a reservist in 2015 and that same year went to university, complaining in an interview about the challenges of life as a veteran. Discharged from reserve service in 2020, Jabbar presented himself as an estate agent and also worked for the global consultancy Deloitte. He showed an interest in weapons, selling them online and writing in a social media post from 2021, "It's a shoot the guns type of morning." Jabbar had at least 3 prior arrests, all misdemeanors, including theft. He'd also married twice, divorcing in 2012 and 2022, and is thought to have 3 children. Then, in the early hours of New Year's Day, he drove this white rental truck into crowds of pedestrians.
The vehicle is about to go into Bourbon Street.
A security expert points out how Jabbar steered the vehicle around a police car.
Clearly, he probably had done some reconnaissance beforehand.
He says planting an Islamic State flag on the truck was the attacker's way of pledging allegiance to the group.
Well, it's an important reminder for all of us that ISIS hasn't disappeared, it hasn't dissipated. It may not necessarily control swathes of territory in Iraq and Syria like it used to, but it still infects the minds of young, impressionable people around the world.
Turning a vehicle into a weapon is a tactic seen before in attack.
Bro was 42. What do you mean, young, impressionable mind? It's interesting because I'm not even hearing from otherwise like Islamophobic people all that much. They're like, yeah, this looks like a psyop or something. Like even there are a couple Islamophobic people that have come in here and been like, this is how Muslims are. That's why we have to deport them all or whatever. Mostly European style right wingers. But like, that's how they speak about your community too? What?
Linked to Islamic State, such as in London in 2017, as well as in the French city of Nice a year earlier. Security officials across the world, including here in the UK, have long been warning about the persistent danger of Islamic terrorism. Just last October, Ken McCullum, the head of MI5, said the terrorist trend that concerns him most is the worsening threat from Al-Qaeda and in particular from Islamic State. Hunting for clues, the FBI says Jabbar posted 5 videos on social media before launching.
Bro, the country that they're reporting this from literally had pogroms after the Labor government took power. There was literally a pogrom that took place. Like, what do you mean? That wasn't that long ago.
His rampage, claiming to support Islamic State. Officers for now believe he acted alone, but they'll surely be sifting through his contacts and communications to find out why, and if there's any hidden evidence of direction or even support from the terrorist group. Deborah Haynes, Sky News.
I mean, if he made improvised explosive devices, like I said.
Joining us now is Chris Poussin. He went to school with the suspect from.
That actually somewhat fits that bill of like a ISIS lone wolf attacker. So who knows?
The New Orleans attack. Chris, thank you for being with us. Just tell us a little bit about your experience with Shams Sadine. You called him Sham in middle school and high school, is that right?
Right, yeah, Shams Sadine, his friends called him Sham.
Okay, so you went to middle school and high school with him. When he went off to the Army, you went off to the Air Force, and I know you kind of lost touch. But then you'd gotten back in touch a few years ago on social media. Tell us first what he was like in middle school and high school.
Back then, he was really reserved. He kept to himself. He didn't say too much. He was very smart, very good in school. He wasn't like a troublemaker or anything like that. He was just, he was the model student, really. We met in 8th grade, and then we just happened to move to the same town in 9th grade, went to the same high school. So our friendship just continued on until high school, until he joined the Army. And like you said, I joined the Air Force.
So when you touched base with him a few years back on social media, I think it was 5 or so years ago, and got back in touch with him, what were those exchanges like, and had he changed?
Well, yeah, we had lost touch because whenever we graduated, social media wasn't a thing yet. So whenever Facebook came along, we reconnected. And then we kept in touch for several years, actually. Through Facebook, just messaging back and forth, just checking on one another. And then up until the last, few times I had spoke with him, he had become really, enthralled in his faith. And pretty much every conversation we had or post that he was making at that time, in some way, shape, or form, it all, resorted back to his Muslim faith.
Okay, so he talked a lot about Islam. Did you get the sense he was radicalized? Or I understand you are.
Okay, I don't know if that makes sense, because since we just interviewed an immediate family member, and she said that, first of all, this man says his faith. The dude wasn't even Muslim. Okay? And there isn't even any media reporting that says that he was Muslim from the start. All the media reporting on the matter says he converted to Islam recently. But maybe he's talking about his recent posts. But also, even then, if he was connected to him, if he was talking to him like maybe as recently as like a couple months ago, then that's different. But if he was talking to him 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't think that he had converted to Islam at that point.
are a Christian and you were talking with him about religion. Were you having, respectful exchanges?
It was very respectful, and it wasn't anything like he was upset or mad at anybody. Every post and every conversation I ever had with him, he was never mad at anything. He never talked about overthrowing the government or being mad at a particular race or religion or anything like that. He was always very respectful and very positive. His message that I got from him after every conversation was that he was very positive. And it's just that
when he said they recently reconnected, he meant 5 years ago. Five years is recent to men, chatters? No, it's not a men thing. If anything, it's an old person thing. Older. I think it's wild that we're also memory holding the fact that Donald Trump immediately said this was an illegal immigrant doing the crime.
what happened yesterday just came by complete surprise. I never would have seen this coming.
Yeah, you were shocked. And we've learned from our reporting that I think since about that time you would have re-engaged with him on social media. He has been suffering financial problems. He has obviously his family, his place in his family has certainly fallen apart. Did you talk to him about any of that?
No, we didn't get that deep into it. Whenever we had messaged each other back and forth, it was just more so checking on one another. Because like I said, we met in middle school back in 1996.
I don't get it. So they talked about religion, but they didn't talk about like his immediate family troubles? That doesn't make any sense.
Whenever we did talk, it was just, how are you doing? How are things, on your neck in your neck of the woods, and just, keeping it pretty superficial. We never got into anything really deep, with family issues or anything like that. So
what is going on? Hey, yo, my boy HasanAbi finger in the corner. What is happening? Why are people talking about this? This is like the fourth or fifth chatter that's brought this up. Did something go viral again?
I didn't know we had any of that stuff going on, until the news report started coming out after the fact, since yesterday.
So, you were shocked by this, and you also have an interesting perspective because you have a military background. You served in an anti-terrorism unit. He served during this period of time where obviously we see the threats that the U.S. was confronting after 9/11, and then seeing him then say that he is swearing allegiance to ISIS. What do you think of that?
Complete disbelief, utter shock. One of our classmates actually messaged me yesterday morning and asked me if I had seen the news, because that's when they had identified Sham in the attacks, and I told him, I don't believe that. That's probably just false reporting, a mistaken identity. And the more I looked into it, more credible reports started coming in, and it was him. And he never gave any tips or clues to me personally whenever I was speaking with him that he was on the verge of doing something like this. It's just tragic, and I never saw this coming.
What questions do you have about how he made this change and went from the person that you knew to the person who committed this horrible act?
Well, the questions that I have really is just more so from the reports that you guys have been putting out there since the attacks. I've learned, which while I was on hold, that he's acted alone. I didn't know that was a thing until just recently, and I learned that he had bomb making materials or bombs inside of his vehicle. And the thing that I don't understand is if he went through if he went through all the trouble to have the bombs made, put them in his vehicle, load them up, and drive to New Orleans, why would he use his vehicle as a weapon and not even attempt to, you know, place the bombs or set them off or whatever? It's almost as if he didn't want to use them. I don't know. I'm not in his head, so I can't speak for him. It just, a lot of it just doesn't make sense to me. It's hard to wrap my head around it.
Yeah, as we understand it at this point, it may have been that police confronted him before he carried out the totality of the attack that he had planned. But again, Chris, there's so much we don't know. You have questions, we have questions. The police are tracking those down. FBI is tracking those down. Chris, thanks for being with us. I can't imagine what it's like to be in your position, but we appreciate.
Charles, calm down. You have no idea what it's like to be in the mindset of someone who just witnessed a dude that they know personally that they grew up with doing a fucking heinous act like this. I don't know who this man is. Sorry to this man. I think Islam is just one of those things that you mention once and everyone perceives it as constant and extreme. Yeah.
The suspect's brother speaking out about the attack, telling the New York Times, quote, "As far as I know, he was a Muslim for most of his life."
Wait, what? Chatter, your dad said this?
What he did does not represent Islam. This is more some type of radicalization, not religion.
Rabbi Lightstone served as the senior advisor to Donald Trump's ambassador to Israel.
Could be the third brother. Not my dad, another uncle.
And he joins us now. Rabbi, thank you so much for getting up with us this morning. You know, as Todd just said, the suspect said it was more of radicalization than religion. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, no, I think that's 100% correct. This is not the religion of Islam. What this is a religion of radicalization. And what's come about is the ability to convince or to try to blame others for your circumstance. And that manifests itself in, unfortunately, this terrible terror attack. And more than anything else, my hearts and prayers out to all of the victims and all of the people of New Orleans today.
So what can we be doing differently to tamp down on this kind of radicalization? What should we be doing?
All right. It's interesting because, one, they brought a rabbi to talk about it, but also the rabbi kind of spit. Like he kind of cooked there. He was like, yeah, this has nothing to do with like religion. And people just like bringing it back to people blaming religion. So I got hit with the left-right combo there. At first I was like, what the fuck? But we'll see. Not what he was going for. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.
Doing to make sure that this does not become the new normal going forward?
That's exactly the correct question. This protest that happened in Times Square, that happened within hours after this person with an ice.
God damn. Okay, bro. Oh my God, bro said, yeah, the fucking pro-Palestinian demonstrators. They're doing basically what this guy is doing.
ISIS flag committing a terror attack has gone on, frankly, for 16 months. After Israel was attacked on October 7th, on October 8th, on all of our campuses and all of our main cities, there were protests not against.
Dude, people who are pro-Israel are so funny. I'm sorry. There's no way to take this shit seriously, bro. You just You were brought on to talk about a fucking heinous attack. Okay? And instantly you bring it back to campus protests. You are a deeply unserious person. You know, this horrifying terror attack that killed 14 people, 14 innocent people on New Year's Eve. You know what it reminds me of? Non-binary college students on Columbia campus saying Israel is an apartheid state. Are you fucking insane? How are those two things even remotely in the same territory? What a fucking psychotic, like, hyperfixation, dude. It's like those memes about future text messages, you know, like text messages from future, like everything comes back to just like how college campus protesters and how scary they are. Like, that's an insane thing to say. You know who the real victims are? Me and my personal feelings about college campus protesters saying correct things, like objectively correct things. Yeah, one of the victims was a Palestinian American, Kareem Badawi. 18-year-old Palestinian youth killed in Bourbon Street in New Orleans, was a talented athlete, beloved Baton Rouge community member, and he had just finished his first semester of college.
Against terror, but in favor of terror. And the White House just sat there and said, well, they have a point. And what we need is leadership that says they don't have a point. There is no room for terror. There is no room for radicalization.
Right, but how do we stop this? I mean, we keep seeing it happen over and over and over. It is becoming the norm, whether people want to believe that or not. What do we have to do? What does the government have to do? And really, what does the incoming administration need to do to stop this?
I think two different things. Number one is it does start at home. I think we need to check on our brothers. We need to check on our sisters. We need to check on our children and to make sure that they're being raised with the correct moral and values that they can be. We need to check on our veterans and to make sure that they're being taken care of appropriately. But at the end of the day, we elect leaders in order to lead. And when leaders look both ways at terrorists and at victims and say, they both have a point over here, that's not leadership. So this is actually something pretty simple to fix because most Americans know the difference in between.
Yeah, Biden, it was crazy when Biden came out and was like, you know, the NOLA attacker had a point. That is the takeaway here. Obviously, he's talking about pro-Palestinian protesters and lying and claiming that the Biden administration or Kamala Harris was even remotely empathetic to their plight. They were not. What a fucking insane situation. Ironic to be on Fox News saying this because there was one time when there were real Nazis on one side. And there was a president that said both sides are very fine people. Oh, that's right. That was Charlottesville. And the president was Donald Trump.
Between good and evil. Every American that I know knows who the bad guy in this video is and know who the good guys are, the people who ran to stop him. That needs to be said clearly from all leaders, and it needs, frankly, to be said from parents to their kids as well.
Yeah, you make a good point. There is a massive morale issue right now in the world, in the United States. I do fully agree with that. Rabbi Lightstone, thank you so much.
I do apologize. We had a very busy schedule will last over from New Year's Day on, dealing with two crises, one in Louisiana and one in Las Vegas. And I've assembled the entire defense and intelligence apparatus of the country in the Situation Room, and we've been spending a lot of time there. But I'm going to take another 2 minutes to talk a little bit about that and then go on to what we're here for. I want to give an update on the investigations into yesterday's terrorist attacks in New Orleans and the truck explosion in Las Vegas. I've just come from the meeting, not just to spend, while we prepare these remarks, better part of an hour, from my Homeland Security team. The number of people killed in New Orleans has risen to 15, including the attacker. 35 people were injured. Today, the FBI briefed me that as of now, we have no information that anyone else is involved in the attack. They've established that the attacker was the same person who planted the explosives in those ice coolers in two nearby locations in the French Quarter just a few hours before he rammed into the crowd with his vehicle. They assess he had a remote detonator in his vehicle to set off those two ice chests. So there's no question that, remember all the talk about other people were involved, placed him, they have him, they have established he's there, and even established that he had a detonator to explode those ice chests. As I said yesterday, the attacker posted several videos just several hours before the attack, indicating his strong support for ISIS. Federal law enforcement and the intelligence community are actively investigating any foreign or domestic contacts and connections that could possibly be relevant to the attack. And so we're also continuing to investigate whether or not there's any connection between the New Orleans attack and the explosion in Las Vegas. As of now, they've just been briefed. They have not found any evidence of such a connection thus far. I've directed them to keep looking. The individual who rented the truck that exploded in Las Vegas also served as active duty U.S. Army. And the FBI is working with the Department of Defense on investigating, including the service members' possible motives and all those he worked with, who served with him, with things he'd say and do. I directed my team to accelerate these investigations so we have answers to our unanswered questions. They're making every single resource available to get the job done. And we're going to share the facts as soon as I learn them so the American public doesn't have to wonder. In the meantime, like I said last night, New Orleans is a city of tremendous spirit. You can't keep it down. You really can't. And we're seeing that today. The Sugar Bowl is back on. Kickoff is going to take off very short.
Bro, babe, grandma confirms he became significantly more Muslim 3 years ago post-second divorce. He was the type of person to tell her mom, you shouldn't speak negatively of people when they're not present to defend themselves. So significantly more Muslim, what does that mean, though? Does that mean that he was already Muslim? He had converted already? She doesn't believe ISIS stuff either, though.
Shortly, if I don't get this damn thing done, we're going to be in real trouble. And the FBI has handed control of Bourbon Street back to local officials. Security of the area has been reinforced, and it should be open for business later today, the Bourbon Street. People in New Orleans are sending an unmistakable message. They will not let this attack or the attackers' deluded ideology overcome us. None of us should fear that he'll overcome us. We're going to continue to relentlessly pursue ISIS and other terrorist organizations where they are, and they'll find no safe harbor here. I'll continue to provide updates in New Orleans and Las Vegas as the facts develop. Now to the business at hand.
Mr. Maurer, thank you for joining us this morning. We want to show this photo you posted with your wife right before this attack. Just explain what you experienced when you knew something was going wrong.
We've been enjoying the evening, very nice atmosphere. People were having a good time, and first heard these bangs and tires squealing, and looked and saw this truck start to accelerate at a high rate of speed My wife and I were walking down the middle of the street and saw it. We were on Bourbon, about a block away from Canal, where the attack happened, and so saw it from the beginning, heard it, and were able to essentially jump out of the way off the roadway, and so the truck did miss us by just a few seconds and a few feet.
So he was coming right toward you.
We were in the middle of the street. The truck was coming right towards us, but luckily we did see it and hear it quickly enough to get ourselves out of the street. But unfortunately, right in front of us, several others did not.
Oh, that must have been so horrific to watch in those moments. You were walking right down the middle of the street. So what type of barricades were there, if any?
Yeah, the street was closed off. They had, in different parts, some just small wooden barricades, other places, as they said, police cars blocking off intersections. There didn't appear to be a lot of heavy metal barricades or anything like that. But it did seem pretty well clear. The roads were closed to people who were trying to just drive by. But in this case, no hard barricade or object to stop the truck from driving through.
Unfortunately, we've seen these kind of attacks before. Did you know right away it was intentional?
I could, based on the way the truck was driving, I understood that it was intentional very quickly. I just heard recently about the other attacks, similar car attacks. And so I was pretty clear, and then heard the shooting begin shortly thereafter. And so it was pretty clear in my mind what had happened here from the very beginning. And so I was, we were taking cover while the shooting was happening, but didn't want to just assume everything was all clear just because the shooting had stopped.
Well, we are glad you and your wife are both okay. Thank you for sharing your story with us this morning.
More now about the victims of the deadly New Orleans terror attack. Trevor Ault is live at a hospital in New Orleans where some of the injured are being treated right now. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, Gio. It's especially gut-wrenching for this attack to happen on New Year's Day when people are so hopeful for the future, their plans and their goals. And this morning, we are learning heartbreaking new details about the many people killed, what they had been planning for the new year, and the remarkable ways they had spent the years before.
This morning, family, friends, and loved ones left in shock after the horrific attack in the heart of the French Quarter.
Parents got a phone call last night, early this morning, that no parent ever wants to receive. And some people did not come home safe.
Kareem Badawi and 21-year-old Hubert Guthrow among the 15 dead.
His beautiful face, his laugh, I love you, Mom. He was just a wonderful son.
Kathy and Louis Tendorio lost their 25-year-old son, Matthew.
Ask any of his friends.
He really was.
Generous, loving
I'm
person.
Still in shock, honestly. And as time goes by, I'll see something that reminds me of him and I'll break down.
That's so fucking sad, dude.
Probably for the rest of my life.
18-year-old Nakira Dodo from Gulfport, Mississippi, was set to start nursing school this month. She died while out with friends. Nicole Perez, a 27-year-old single mother to a 4-year-old little boy, was also killed while out for the new year.
She was a great mother. She was allowed to bring her son into the office when he didn't have school, and so she was helping him learn to read.
28-year-old former Princeton football player Tiger Beck was also killed. He was visiting Louisiana for a long weekend of fishing with some college friends and went to Bourbon Street to celebrate. Dozens more left injured, including 51-year-old Jeremy Sensky, thrown from his wheelchair during the attack. The chair seen crushed next to the suspect's truck. Sensky narrowly avoiding gunfire as he lay on the ground.
That is... Okay, that's incredible that the dude survived it. God damn, dude. That's wild. There's a Greenville Highway bomb, the Greenville Highway bomb threat live stream as well. Okay, that's not showing anything right now.
I was really confused. I was like, is that a motorcycle?
Annika and Paul were staying in the hotel above the attack.
That's a mechanical wheelchair. And then I saw the body laying in the gutter right next to it. He was given care, but he was also just left to himself because he was alive. And it was heart-wrenching to watch this man who couldn't help himself.
Sensky's now being treated at a local hospital.
And we have also learned that one of the many people in critical condition currently in the hospital is a student at the University of Georgia, one of so many students in town here for the Sugar Bowl, George.
Hot food, hot gumbo.
Bourbon Street back in business.
Hot jambalaya.
14 flowers remembered 14 victims. So did patrons in prayer. Supporters in town for a college football game did it their way.
Terrorism is not going to stop us from living.
Metal wedges are now on pavements that a terrorist used to steer around temporary barricades. 36 hours on, 36 hours too late. Newly released camera footage.
Damn, dude. My man said 36 hours on, 36 hours too late. It's crazy when they start getting poetic with this news coverage. You know what I mean? Calm down, man. I think Bro Babe had more info. So as far as I know, mom is Christian and he was raised by her. Dad was Muslim. Islam has always been kind of in the background, but not overtly. 3 years ago, I guess he got stricter and held himself to high standards, if that makes sense. Like going from a Christian who doesn't go to church to becoming a nun.
Shows a fresh angle on the incident as it unfolded, the chaos and the carnage. The FBI's latest assessment is that the attacker Shamsuddin Jabbar acted alone and that there was no connection between the New Orleans attack and an exploding Tesla Cybertruck in Las Vegas. They told how he posted videos to social media on his way to commit murder and spoke of his support for ISIS.
In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote.
They'd worked overnight to clear Bourbon Street, where a terrorist murder ended when he crashed into a crane and was shot dead. Questions persist about the security measures that failed to prevent mass murder.
Who's BFF?
Questions we put to the New Orleans police chief.
Madam, do you acknowledge that you let the victims down by not having an appropriate security plan?
Oh, that's not the correct. That's not correct. We would disagree with that. We had a
plan that allowed an attacker to drive into a crowd.
And I take exception to that, and I do not agree with that.
It has to be a failure.
We do know that people have lost their lives, but if you're experienced with terrorism, you would not be asking that question.
Well, with respect, experience of terrorism surely requires appropriate security protection.
We are learning more about the victims, people who'd come to party in the center of New Orleans and crossed a terrorist path.
The last thing that we ever said to each other, he told me he loved me, so.
This police chief got in trouble for running 2 people over? Wait, what? No fucking way. Okay, well, running people over, the only incident that comes up when you Google it is obviously going to be the recent one, but oh my God. New Orleans Police Department Chief Ann Kirkpatrick was on duty in police car when she hit pedestrians in French Quarter. New Orleans Police Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick was on duty when she hit two pedestrians in the French Quarter with a police cruiser Saturday evening. She was returning home after visiting an injured officer at the hospital when she hit a man and a woman at the intersection of Decatur and Iberville Streets just before 7 p.m. She took a breathalyzer test and a urinalysis per departmental accident protocol. The breathalyzer returned a blood alcohol of 0.000. Okay, honestly, Decatur, yeah. Honestly, this is the least surprising piece of information I found about New Orleans today. And that's like, bro, this is not that long ago. That's crazy. This is on August. This is literally, dude, that's fucking 4 months ago. Oh my God. Oh my God. It turns out she actually has direct firsthand knowledge on exactly what the guy did. That is crazy. She doesn't just have knowledge. She has experience.
Well, with respect, experience.
That's why she said, oh, I got experience with this.
With terrorism, you would not be asking that question.
Well, with respect, experience of terrorism surely requires appropriate security protection.
She used to be the Oakland, California police chief, but got fired. Complaint accuses Oakland police chief of making false statements about ICE operation. The chair of Oakland's Privacy Advisory Commission and 7 other people have filed a complaint alleging that Oakland police chief Ann Kirkpatrick made false statements about an immigration raid in August. The complaint, which Privacy Commission Chair Brian Hoffer and others filed with Oakland Citizens Police Review Board on Monday, alleges that Kirkpatrick made at least 3 false statements about an operation by Homeland Security investigation, which is part of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in West Oakland. Hoyer said that at least 2 Oakland police officers assisted ICE during the raid by blocking off the street through traffic. From 2017 to 2020, she served as Oakland's police chief, where she was fired by an independent commission. She later received a $1.5 million settlement after winning a lawsuit against the city for wrongful termination for exposing corruption and abuse of power within the department. Before that, she was the Bureau of Professional Standards for the Chicago PD. Bro, this sounds like a joke. You look at any police chief in any part of the country, and you will find this kind of background. I feel like there is no profession that, there is no other profession that where they just like champion the losers so hard. There's no other profession where they just like elevate you for failure. Not in spite of, for failure. And apparently she gets paid like $300,000 a year. Oh my God. As the superintendent of the police in the city of New Orleans, that lady gets paid $340,000 a year. Yeah, the DNC. You can either work for the DNC or work for the police department. Those, if you're a failure overall, if you work for the DNC, as long as you lose gracefully, they will elevate you. If you work for the police department, you can be a failure overall. As long as, you know, you keep failing, they will elevate you.
The last thing that we ever said to each other, he told me he loved me, so.
Jack Besh lost his brother Martin, nicknamed Tiger, here on the left. He made a FaceTime call to an emergency room as doctors fought but failed to save his brother.
He couldn't respond to any of us, but he could hear us. I truly believe he could hear us. His eyes were closed and he was on a machine, but I know he could hear us. God kept his heartbeat beating for a reason, and I believe it was so that me and my family could tell him goodbye. You couldn't even fit in the room. There were so many doctors in there. And they said they did everything they possibly could, and he fought so hard. God was calling him home.
It is the iconic street, the old part of New Orleans in the fabled French Quarter. Bourbon Street has the rich associations of this city's past. Its music, its culture, entertainment. Bourbon Street is the best of New Orleans. Here, sadly, they have seen its worst. James Matthews, Sky News, in Bourbon Street, New Orleans.
This is. Someone asked me who pays for the healthcare in situations like this. And I really don't know. Are Reddit atheists actually dunking on the guy for saying God kept him alive? Come on, chat. Calm down. Reddit atheists be like, science bless you.
Now, further complicating this.
Going back to the Las Vegas incident, because I feel like that deserves some extra attention. There is some weird shit happening there as well, as we talked about.
Identification of this individual. We also discovered through the coroner's office that the individual had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle. One of the handguns was found at his feet inside of the vehicle. Now, further complicating this identification of this individual, we also discovered through the coroner's office that the individual had sustained a gunshot wound.
Wait, the police chief talked about the New Year's attack in New Orleans and said this is a purifying fire?
Promise you, as the chief of police of this city has been tried by fire before. But fire purifies. Fire makes things stronger.
Are you a demon? What are you saying? What a fucking freak, dude. Bet that sounded better in her head. Is she? But like, if she was, I don't think she's like an evangelical nutso. I'm an Oakland resident. She was pretty well liked by the rank and file from what I remember. Wonder why.
We have a plan. We know what to do. We are going to get these people. There is a path forward. Very pleased that we will be back to having a wonderful game tomorrow night.
Hi, I work in an ER. There's a law in all 50 states that say we are not allowed to turn you away if you're having a medical emergency. You will be seen and sent a bill, and depending on your state, you can be covered by crime victim insurance. I work in New York City, and if you're a victim, the state will foot the bill. What is this? Louisiana state legislature limits the operators of motor vehicles for harm caused for certain persons who are injured while illegally blocking a road or highway. Wow. Effective date, August 1st, 2024. Louisiana is one of the many wonderful red states in the nation where they want to make it legal to kill protesters that block a road. That's great. And not shocking at all. Also, as far as the New York Times goes, although the New Orleans attacker, as far as we know, didn't have any, didn't say anything about Gaza. In their incredible coverage of determining, or in their incredible coverage of the officials trying to determine if the New Orleans suspect had ties to terrorist groups, they add this in the fucking, they add this in the byline. U.S. officials have warned that the conflict in Gaza and Lebanon could spill into the United States, most likely in the form of small radicalized groups acting on their own initiative or lone wolf terrorists. Thank you, New York Times. So this is the liberal version of what we saw that rabbi do on Fox News, for the record. This is how you manufacture consent. On the Republican side, you got people directly saying like, well, you know, the real violence that's happening is exactly like what this guy did. Exactly like what this guy did. College protesters against Israel, they're doing the same thing. They're doing a 14-person manslaughter shootout with the police every time they say Israel's an apartheid state. That's the Republican version of it. This, on the other hand, is the liberal version of it. It's a kinder, gentler, more, I would say, nefarious, more insidious version of that same exact cynical laundering of certain narratives. Really fucked up. I cannot believe how wonky this statement is, and I need to include it. And the need to include it and therefore implicate an entire Muslim community who happen to live in the neighborhood. Jabbar's recent address in the Houston area shared the same street with nearly a dozen properties owned by people with names common in Islamic cultures. What the hell? They're like, this guy's neighbors are also Muslim. We looked up the property records. According to Harris County, Texas land records, Jabbar's residence and other properties appeared to be behind a common wrought iron gate at the beginning of the street. Google Street View imagery shows Houston is home to a large Muslim population. I live on a block with predominantly Jewish neighbors. I'm Muslim. If I were ever to be in this situation, never. We'll be considering Jewish or something. This person wrote that so weirdly. Yeah, a small plane has crashed in Fullerton, resulting in a 4-alarm fire. It apparently crashed into a furniture factory in Fullerton, California. I mean, look, this is we're hyper focusing on like crazy stuff going on. I mean, this in and of itself is like an isolated incident, most likely. I'm not gonna sit here and say that the day of reckoning is upon us. But Cybertruck blast suspect was a Rambo type who loved Trump. Family says, going back to the Cybertruck story. Elon Musk, of course, revealed that he helped the investigation by having the truck unlocked after it auto-locked in the blast and giving investigators videos of suspect charging stations along his route from Colorado to Las Vegas. Las Vegas I don't know who this guy is, and I'm not inclined to share that information, so don't send me links from random people like that. But Las Vegas Police Department found a Defense Department Common Access card in the Cybertruck. We already covered how insane it is that the truck auto-locked. Daily Beast also covered the story. Wait, what the hell? Wait, why can't I? What? No. Oh, there it is. I did it. No! Fuck. Okay, well, you know what? We're not going to cover Daily Beast. We're going to look at the Independent. Active duty Green Beret who was driving a Tesla Cybertruck that blew up outside the Trump International Hotel, Las Vegas on New Year's. What? Oh my God. Gross. Blew outside the Trump International Hotel, Las Vegas on New Year's Day. Was 100% a patriot, his bewildered uncle said Thursday. Matthew loves the burger. Was like, he was 37 years old, was like a Rambo type, for lack of a better word. Dean loves his burgers, said to the Independent. Dean, whose older brother is, loves burgers, a father. Roger, himself an Air Force veteran served in Vietnam, said his nephew loved the Army. He used to have all patriotic stuff on Facebook. He was 100% loving the country. Okay, this guy was a certified hog, I think. He continued, he loved Trump, and he was always a very, very patriotic soldier, a patriotic American. It's one of the reasons he was in Special Forces for so many years. It wasn't just one tour of duty. Yeah, so he was racist. Wrote a book about the U.S. military spent years recruiting dangerous extremists because they couldn't attract enough soldiers and didn't want to institute a draft. This policy, which was behind many atrocities abroad, is now coming home. This guy served in Iraq as a military intelligence officer. No, this is a different person, chat. This is not loves his burgers, right? No. Matt Kennard is using a different example. One example of many. I got hold of a 2006 U.S. criminal investigation. Yeah, this is a different person. This is not him. He's just using this as an opportunity to say, like, they hire and recruit a lot of dangerous white nationalists. I still do think that the guy who went boom boom outside of the Trump, if his fucking family's like saying how patriotic he was on Facebook, I suspect that he says some stuff. Because there's only one way to show how patriotic you are on that website. You know what I mean? Dean loves the burger, said he was aware of the explosion in Vegas, but had not yet been made aware that Matt Livelsberger. How do you say this last name? Livelsberger? Livelsberger, as he called him, had been named the culprit of the Independent, contacted him for comment. At first, Dean assumed the explosion had been caused by one of those big lithium batteries that short-circuited or something, he said. He was relieved that the blast only caused 7 minor injuries and didn't kill anyone else, but he added the amateurish construction of the explosive device an array of propane tanks, fireworks, and camping fuel left him with a slew of additional questions. Matt was a very skilled warrior, and he would be able to overcome, if it was him, if he did this, he would have been able to make a more sophisticated... Dude, his family members are like, nah, dog. He would have been... I'm disappointed in his improvisation skills. Like, he would have made a way sicker explosive, dude. That's a crazy thing. CNN is reporting on it, so let's take a look at what they're saying about loves the burger.
Automatic handguns that were legally purchased shortly before this explosion happened. So, Wolf, there are a lot of questions still about why he did this. And one investigator today said, it is not lost on me that it is a Tesla vehicle, a Tesla made by Elon Musk's company, and that this happened in front of a Trump hotel, but they do not have enough evidence to say if there was any particular motive, political or otherwise. Wolf.
All right, we'll find out. I know this investigation is only just beginning. Natasha Chen, thank you very much. Natasha's in Las Vegas. I want to get some more on these breaking stories right now. Joining us, the U.S. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Mr. Secretary, thanks so much for joining us. I know you have a lot going on. We really appreciate it. So this investigation and what happened in New Orleans is now what, in its second day. Where do things go from here? What do you still need to know?
Well, the FBI is leading the investigation, Wolf. As you know, of course, 14 innocent lives were lost in the event, and our hearts break for the families and loved ones. And we pray for those who suffered injuries for their swift recovery. There's still a great deal of investigation underway. The FBI has, of course, captured videos, as the reporter indicated. We have located phones and laptops. Residences are being searched. There's a great deal of investigation still underway. The conclusion has been reached. This is an event that was inspired by a foreign terrorist ideology. This individual ascribed to the heinous beliefs of ISIS. With respect to the Las Vegas incident, no motive has yet to be determined. Both investigations are at an early stage.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing. It's very interesting. You're the Secretary of Homeland Security. CNN has obtained a joint bulletin from the Department of Homeland Security warning of lone offender attacks coming up, specifically mentioning the potential use of vehicle ramming. That bulletin came out and was sent around the country to cities and states, warning of this potential danger. Did New Orleans screw up, basically, not pay attention to that warning?
I don't think that's fair to say, Wolf. That wouldn't be a fair conclusion to draw. That was not our first bulletin with respect to the threat of the lone offender. The perpetrator of the terrorist attack yesterday in New Orleans was an Army veteran, a U.S.-born citizen. We have spoken now for about 10 years about the phenomenon of an individual resident in the United States radicalized to violence by a foreign terrorist ideology or other ideologies. We're speaking of a veteran here. Local officials do the best they can in securing the well-being of their residents. We work very closely with our state and local partners.
The FBI says this New Orleans attacker was, quote, 100% inspired by ISIS. What can you say about how his connection to ISIS emerged?
Well, that is still a subject to investigation. That is one of the key elements of the investigation. The motive has been identified. Why precisely this individual radicalized an Army veteran, a United States citizen, why he radicalized to a foreign terrorist ideology is still the subject of review. Why there was encouragement by the FBI special agent to individuals who know Jabbar to communicate with the FBI whatever information they might have about that path to radicalization.
Very disturbing indeed. In Las Vegas, as you all know, Mr. Secretary, a decorated active duty Army Special Forces sergeant is believed to have caused that Cybertruck to explode just in front of the Trump hotel there. Are you confident this person acted alone? And what can you say about his motive?
Again, Wolf, we're at a preliminary stage of the investigation. A motive has not been identified. There is no evidence of any other individuals working in concert with the individual in the Cybertruck, but we cannot rule that out. But there is no evidence of other conspirators.
As you know, you've suggested there's no evidence of linkage between Las Vegas and New Orleans, these two attacks. But there have been several very, very significant similarities that occurred during these two attacks, right?
Well, both individuals rented their respective vehicles from an app. Both individuals were U.S. citizens who have served in the military. But that doesn't necessarily draw a connection between the two events other than similarities of characteristics.
Are you 100% convinced that the individual in Las Vegas had no affiliation with a terrorist organization?
I don't think we know enough to draw any conclusion just yet. We're at a preliminary stage.
So all these similarities that you mentioned, and there are other similarities as well, purely coincidental?
Wolf, we're going to refrain from drawing assessments and conclusions until we learn more evidence. We owe that. That's a responsibility of a careful and thorough investigation, and quite frankly, a responsibility we owe the public, not to be premature in our conclusions.
I don't know if you know this, but President-elect Trump is falsely linking the New Orleans attack to migrants following an erroneous Fox News report. How dangerous is this spread? Is it to spread this kind of disinformation around the country by the President-elect of the United States?
Wolf, it is not a time now to stoke fear. It is a time to calm fear. It is a time to draw conclusions based on evidence adduced in an investigation. This is not the time for politics. This is the time for national unity. This is not a time to inflame individuals. It is a time to grieve for lives lost, to pray for those who are suffering, and to come together as a country.
We're grateful to you for coming in and sharing some thoughts with us. Very important stories indeed. Appreciate it, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Wolf.
Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security. And just ahead, we're going to have much more on the New Orleans attack, including what we're now learning about the 14 people who lost their lives.
I lay on my back, frozen.
Okay, getting back to the story. This is Brian Stelter. Within 24 hours of the Bourbon Street terror attack, reporters pieced together a relatively complete picture of the suspect. But a key early bit of misreporting confused the public and possibly the president-elect. It's a cautionary tale for everyone in the news industry as the new year begins. Trump ironically used the New Orleans attack to say that he was right and that fake news media was wrong about the threat posed by illegal immigration. If he had waited a couple hours to react, he would have learned that the suspect was a U.S. citizen and an Army veteran. Some Republicans continued to beat the border drum well after Fox News retracted its initial report. This morning, I'm still seeing people on social media share the misinfo. Yeah, I mean, look, they got too horny to bang on the anti-immigrant drum, and they failed to bang on the other drum that they also love banging on usually, at least historically, which is Islamophobia. All Muslims are like this. Anyway, getting back to the Vegas, Jessica popping off, Jessica Tarlov.
Have the right facts, and the right facts were that the guy in New Orleans was an American. He wasn't an illegal crossing. He wasn't. That's not true. That's not true. There have been Republicans.
That's crazy that they're like, nah, no one said he wasn't an American. Yeah, no, the president said he wasn't an American.
Who've been on TV today talking about how this is an open border.
I'll call them myself.
You call them. But it's an open border
Not
problem.
mutually exclusive. That's not a mutually exclusive problem. You can have someone who's homegrown,
But you know
radicalized,
what they're trying to do?
and
They're
you can
trying
also
to
have
conflate
terrorists.
it. They're
who
trying
know
to
that we
make
have
it out to be
southern border.
that it is a demonization
Both things can happen at the same time.
undocumented people. That's what it was supposed to
Yeah,
be. That's
it
why
is
you
a
talked about it
demonization.
going to.
And we
but
haven't
these aren't
even-
undocumented people. These are Americans.
75% of the arrests in New York City are illegals. Let's stop playing games.
Move the goalposts. Move it as far as you want.
You're
Sugar
telling me-
Bowl wide. Whatever.
Whatever. Coming up, major safety concerns across the U.S., allegedly.
Wait, dangerous what?
Coming up, major safety concerns across the U.S.
Oh. She says 75% of the arrests that were taking place in New York were illegals, which I don't think is correct. That's an insane statement to make. And it's also, arrests don't necessarily mean a real crime had taken place regardless, but that sounds like an insane stat. Investigators have arrived at the residence of impeached South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol to carry out an arrest warrant. Another brave incel being placed behind bars for doing what's right, which is trying to do a failed coup. Also, there's some additional crazy stuff with this coup that I didn't really get into that much. Apparently, there's some reporting that he purchased North Korean military uniforms or something. And he was going to do a fake. He was going to do a fake coup thing to try to go to war with North Korea, to implicate some South Korean members of the parliament with a false flag attack. We'll look into that in a little bit, though. I want to get back to this Las Vegas guy. Okay. This is the Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Tesla truck explosion. These are the family members, the immediate family members of Matthew Livesberger. Okay, talking about him. Matt was a very skilled warrior, and he would be able to make, if it was him, and if he did this, he would have been able to make a more sophisticated explosive than using propane tanks and camping fuel. He was what you might call a super soldier. If you ever read about the things he was awarded and the experience he had, some of it doesn't make sense. When he had the skills and ability to make something more, let's say, efficient, his skills were enormous from what he had been taught in the military. With Livesberger's skills, his uncle suggested his nephew could have fashioned a bomb that would have obliterated half of that hotel if he seriously wanted to hurt others. Think of Oklahoma City, he said. McVeigh was just a normal soldier, not a tier 1 operator like Matt. Bro, I think you need to surveil the family. I'd be surveilling the family, okay? Livesberger was in the U.S. Army for 19 years, 18 of which were in the elite special forces. He was currently stationed in Germany and was on leave in Colorado Springs when he rented the Cybertruck and drove to Nevada, law enforcement sources said. The truck blew up just about a few hours after Shamsuddin Jabbar rammed a truck into New Year's Day revelers in New Orleans, killing at least 15 people. Jabbar, 42, was also an Army veteran who was posted to the same base as Livesberger and also served in Afghanistan around the same time that Livesberger did. Investigators were looking into a possible link between the two men who both rented their vehicles to the same car share service, Turo, but so far, they found no direct connection between the two. They're very much hitting that can't be my son. He was way more of a badass and he would have killed tons of people, not just himself. Yeah. At a press conference on Thursday afternoon, Las Vegas Sheriff Kevin McMail said the coroner's office found that Leibelsberger had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle. And while the investigation is still ongoing, he believed Leibelsberger's actions indicated a suicide with a bombing that occurred immediately thereafter, rather than a suicide mission. Leibelsberger's military ID and passport were found inside the Cybertruck, as well as a Deagle 50 caliber semi-automatic pistol and an SLR Rifle Works B30. Both weapons and Leibelsberger himself were burnt almost beyond recognition. According to McMahill, he said investigators also recovered a cache of fireworks along with an iPhone, a smartwatch, and several credit cards with Leibelsberger's name. Special Agent in charge Spencer Evans of the FBI's Las Vegas division said agents had tracked the vehicle from Denver through Tesla charging stations in Arizona and New Mexico before it arrived in Vegas at 7:29 a.m. on Wednesday. My friend's ex is in the special forces, and she says that they don't seek mental health treatment because it can deter their career goals in the military. Kenny Cooper, assistant special agent in charge of the Bureau of ATF, said it remains unclear how the explosives were detonated. He noted that everything used was consumer grade, such as the camping fuel and propane tanks. In addition to some explosive targets that can be purchased at any sporting goods store. Both of the firearms in the Cybertruck had been legally purchased 2 days earlier on December 30th. Oh my God. It is so freaking easy to just buy additional instruments of death and destruction. Leibelsberger divorced his first wife, who now lives in South Florida with her new husband several years ago. Leibelsberger shares a newborn with his new partner, and in September posted a picture on Facebook of himself cradling the infant in his arms, according to Dean. Over the past few months, an array of photos of Leibelsberger posted from Germany, including pictures of himself proposing to his partner and the ring he gave her, have disappeared, his uncle said. Uh-oh. Leibelsberger's father, who was unreachable on Thursday, was married several times and had children with a couple of different women. According to Dean Leibelsberger, who has been semi-estranged from his brother for years. At the same time, Dean said, Matt wasn't estranged from the family at all. Everyone thought the world of Matt. 50 cal isn't exactly an assault weapon. No, I was talking about didn't he have a SBR on him? Or an SLR, Rifle Works B30. I also don't understand. If he used a deagle to pop himself before the explosion, I feel like people would have heard it. But I guess the explosion is so loud that and everybody hyper focused on that. But make no mistake, Elon Musk is using this using this tragedy to hype up a product that most people do not want to purchase. Here he is reposting Sawyer Merritt. A bomb went off in the Cybertruck's bed, and the tires didn't pop deflate. The exterior of the truck is intact, and the bed door is still attached, and the 1.4 millimeter, 1.8 millimeter steel exterior, 2x thicker versus normal trucks, helped contain the blast. It's the toughest and most badass truck ever made. The Las Vegas sheriff just said that the Cybertruck actually held its frame and limited the damage of the explosion, directing the blast upwards. He tried to send a message by using a Tesla, but it ended up saving lives instead. New footage. The fact that this was a Cybertruck really limited. He's using the America account to post this and to repost the America account. That's his account. He bought that account specifically to get Trump elected. It's supposed to be his super PAC. what's really interesting about this entire story is that the Cybertruck automatically locks its doors when the victim is inside, lit on fire. That's what's more interesting to me in terms of the many different capabilities of the Cybertruck. I do not care about how much of the blast was contained because it was the Cybertruck and how strong its frame is. I am more so interested in the fact that the Cybertruck turns into, yes, a cyber hearse. The evil knuckleheads picked the wrong vehicle for a terrorist attack as opposed to the right vehicle for a terrorist attack. Cybertruck actually contained the explosion and directed the blast upwards. Not even glass doors of the lobby were broken. Nice. Tesla has a manual lever that you can open the door at any time, lol. It's impossible to get out of any Tesla once the battery dies. I am still not sold that this truck didn't have a battery explosion. It looks like the battery fires I see at work. The explosion being bottled up like that is likely what made the explosion worse, lol. Just curious, where is the proof that the truck locks itself? Elon Musk openly stated, in an effort to flex his cooperation with law enforcement, he stated that the truck had automatically locked during the incident and he had to unlock it. We have no understanding of what the motives of this suspect is. And also, we know that he shot himself in the head, according to law enforcement. So we don't even know if there was like what triggered it. We have no idea what actually was the trigger for the explosion. Assalamu alaikum. Anyway. Bro faked his own death for sure. Lad was in the street, was just some bum. That sounds pretty unlikely considering he'd have to go through extensive tattooing. Bless you. Don't tell me. No, you need to tell me to science. Bless me. But yeah, both Matt and also, what is this? I believe Matt Leibsberger may have served with the 3rd Special Forces Group Airborne for a time based on his commendation from the U.S. Ambassador to Tajikistan and the fact that the 3rd Command is Central Asia. They're stationed at Fort Bragg. Yeah, science me, not bless me. I do not want to be blessed. I want to be scienced. And yeah, official channel already posted the interview that I had. Which is crazy. Editors woke up today. All right, let's see what Wolf has to say.
Are revealing new details about the New Orleans truck ramming attack. CNN anchor Anderson Cooper is joining us live from New Orleans.
I was in third group. Do we know what years? No, we do not know.
Street, and maybe you can hear some of it behind me because, as you said, it has reopened. It reopened earlier this afternoon, several hours ago. It was important for people in this city, for city officials, to get this place, which was the scene of such horror on New Year's Eve, 3 hours after the strike, after the beginning of the new year, to get it back up and running. Not so much just for business reasons, but as a symbol of.
There's special forces in here? Yes. There are also active duty military members in here as well. Chatters. This is a very large leftist community. There is a... Like, imagine walking into Madison Square Garden and being like, wow, there's a special forces guy in here? Yet, the likelihood is high. That's the reason why, like, while the Fort Bragg thing is, like, weird, it also isn't that weird at all because, I mean, it's massive, right?
Officials and preachers laid flowers, and before it was open to the public, they allowed religious leaders to come to say prayers, and also Glenn David Andrews. And
the military is massive. It hires... The military is ginormous. It's the, like, what, second largest after Walmart. The Defense Department is the second largest hiring body in the United States of America. Okay. It's the second largest employer in America after Walmart. So, not surprising that there's like hella fucking vets and shit in here.
Anderson, I know you also went to a hospital where some of the victims are being treated right now. Tell us about that.
That's right, we did. We went to a hospital, which is just a couple of minutes from here. It's a Trauma 1 hospital. They're able to deal with traumatic situations like we saw. So a lot of the people who were badly injured were brought there as quickly as possible. They still have more than a dozen people who are there with a whole range. Most of them are blunt force injuries they've received from being hit by the vehicle. Some of them also have gunshot wounds. I talked to Jeremy Asensky, who was one of the people who was hit directly by the vehicle. He was actually in a wheelchair. He was knocked out of his wheelchair. His legs were broken in multiple places. He's undergone surgery, but he is doing okay, and hopes to get out of the hospital in a few days, Wolf.
All right, Anderson Cooper on the scene for us, as he always is. Thank you very, very much. And Anderson, of course, will have much more later tonight from New Orleans on his excellent program, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be watching, Anderson. Thanks very much. And joining us now, someone who knows New Orleans very, very well, the current president of the National Urban League and the former two-term New Orleans mayor, Mark Morial. Mayor, thanks so much
Wolf, thanks for
joining us.
Absolutely.
You heard Aaron's report, and you were moved, clearly, because you know the city, you know the people, and it's very disturbing.
I give the city leaders great credit for reopening Bourbon Street, for doing it in a dignified fashion, with prayer, which is part of the tradition of New Orleans, with a second-line parade, which...
I'm sorry. This is insane. If you're attracted to Wolf Blitzer, does that make you a furry? The answer is yes.
Just hours before the attack, they are asking anyone who saw him on the street to come forward. What are they hoping to learn? And these are some of the pictures. That's the picture of that cooler right there. You can see it on the screen.
So, you know, I think, Wolf, one of the interesting things is how extensive the planning, the preparation, the premeditation to this terrorist act was. And I think it's still, even though now the FBI has clarified that, quote, he was acting alone. Did other people help him plan? Where did he get all of the materials and the devices from? What went into taking someone, a military veteran, a graduate of Georgia State, a person that worked for a Big Four accounting firm, and his anger, his rage, his hatred became so empowering that he kills 15 people on a night and on a day that is a day of festivities and a day of celebration. This is a heinous, despicable act. I'm hurt, I'm angered. And when I saw the photos of those young people who were out there partying, young professionals, young people in the early stages of their life, now snuffed out, I am just so hopeful that all Americans will understand that for us, this should be a moment like 9/11, when we should push back against politicians or leaders who want to exploit with rhetoric this awful event and instead say, let us unify to continue this fight for a safer America and safer communities.
As a former mayor of New Orleans, and you know the city well, you know the people well, what do you think the city could have done, potentially looking back, to prevent this terror attack?
Well, one thing I think could have been done is when they took the barricades down, they could have come up with a plan B. A dump truck could have been put there. A temporary barricade could have been put there. That may have saved some lives, but it would not have stopped him from maybe identifying another target or a different target. One thing I'm interested in is whether he cased this location out, whether he planned in advance the exact location that he would use this truck to ram into a crowd of people. So they could have done that, which is why I've said on a number of occasions what's important is for city leaders to evaluate the security plan around the quarter, evaluate the security plan around downtown New Orleans to determine very quickly what enhancements and fortifications are needed.
Mayor Mark Morial, thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks, Wolf.
Thanks for the important work you're doing with the National Urban League.
Thank you, Wolf.
As well. Appreciate it very, very much. And just ahead, new information coming in on the victims of the New Orleans terror attack, including a student and former college football player.